Chapter 3391. The wrath of an expert could shatter the heavens and earth. Roar. Dragons, tigers, cheilants, black tortoises, and other divine beasts descended. They were all roaring at the sky, their voices shaking the 9 provinces. Ha ha ha. Young Master Wuyin let out a hearty roar. Mine is a second-grade ultimate desolate body. It can increase a warrior's strength by 2 times. Son of Demon, let me tell you, they are no longer at the Sage Realm. They are all existences that match the martial ancestor realm. Now, are you afraid? 2 times the strength. Lin Ling's eyes immediately flickered. He had to admit that the ultimate desolate body was indeed powerful. One had to know that if an expert at the peak of the Sage Realm had his strength increased by 2 times, he would be able to fight a martial ancestor realm expert. Son of Demon, I can tell that you have become stronger. You have reached the 4th heaven of the Sage Realm, but how are you going to fight me? Kill him. Roar. Young Master Wuyin roared again. Roar. 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 The various divine beasts behind him immediately pounced forward, stirring up a storm. How am I going to fight? Roar. Young Master Wuyin roared again in high spirits. If he could defeat the Son of Demon, he would be the number 1 person in the myriad of worlds. The warriors in the Eastern, Western, Southern, and Southern realm only remembered him as Young Master Wuyin. The Son of Demon, Lin Ling, had to step aside. Enough nonsense. Lin Ling coldly roared. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand as he pounced forward. Spacetime divine steel. In the sky, the ancient stone steel smashed down. Flames spewed out in a myriad of colors. The aura of an ultimate desolate body also burst out from within. With a rumbling sound, the divine beasts in front of him were immediately smashed to smithereens and burned by the flames. And after the face skins were burned clean, the warriors inside were immediately revealed. However, they were still burned by the spacetime fire as they let out tragic cries. So this is the spacetime god Young Master Wuyin muttered to himself. Every ultimate desolate body was an existence that could not be underestimated. Today, he knew how powerful the Son of Demon was. Unfortunately, your talent is lower than mine. Following that, Young Master Wuyin sneered. Lin Ling's spacetime divine steel could only kill a portion of the divine beasts, but he had more divine beasts. Is that so? Lin Ling rushed into the huge group of divine beasts, and his 5 dantians merged together. The demon sword bloomed, and 70% of the demon sword steps slashed out. Blood gushed out, and every slash killed a divine beast. So powerful, he's even stronger than before. Seeing this, Master Wuyin frowned, but he quickly ordered all the divine beasts to surround Lin Ling. He didn't believe that Lin Ling could block so many of them. Roar, roar, roar. There were dragons roaring and tigers descending from the mountains. Their auras were extremely terrifying, and even the void was shaken into pieces. A dragon doesn't look like a dragon, a tiger doesn't look like a tiger. In the end, it's just a doll. Lin Ling held the sword as the other 3 talents in his body began to merge. They were the realm-swallowing beast, the sky dragon protector, and the great serene wind dragon. His speed first changed. He didn't even need to burst out with 500 world speed. With just 400 world speed, he had already surpassed the speed of all divine beasts. After all, these weren't real divine beasts. They were just a layer of skin sewn on the surface. They couldn't even be considered bloodlines. If this is your pride, then open your eyes wide and watch. I'm going to kill all your divine beasts. In the space, Lin Ling's cold voice floated out, domineering and unruly. After the 3 talents appeared, Lin Ling's aura crazily increased, especially his physical strength. It had the aura of breaking through 9 provinces. Boom! He punched out, colliding head-on with a huge cheilin. But the result was that the punch tore open the scales of the Qilin, revealing a panicked martial artist. He let out a cry of disbelief. How is this possible? Boom! The next moment, he was blown apart by a punch. Lin Ling didn't stop. The illusion god True Inheritance appeared, and countless Lin Ling descended into the sky. The sword came out and killed everything. Blood flowed like a river. It was as if Lin Ling had transformed into the god of death, slaughtering all of these inhuman and demonic beings without leaving a single trace. He killed to his heart's content. He used their blood to let the people of the 9 provinces know that the Green Province was the son of the demon's territory. All intruders would be killed no matter how far away they were. How is this possible? My divine beasts have reached the half-step martial ancestor realm. According to the outside world's evaluation of the son of the demon, he can't possibly win. Seeing the divine beasts being torn apart in the sky, Master Wuyin's eyes narrowed. Back in the Yan province, Lin Ling had fought against the Sage Realm experts. Although he had won, Master Wuyin knew that Lin Ling had won with great difficulty. Those Sage Realm experts were just ordinary sages. His divine beast was even more powerful. It could kill all the saints by itself, but it was still killed by Lin Ling. Lin Ling killed it to his heart's content. Where has he been all this time? How did his strength increase so much? Master Wuyin gritted his teeth. Calamity-destroying Sun Bao, 10,000 arrows piercing the heart. At that moment, a terrifying dragon roar was heard. In the center of the countless divine beasts, a real dragon god appeared. Then, countless arrows were shot out, and the light of the Buddha god illuminated the land. The heavenly dragon guardian. An ancient voice rang in everyone's hearts at the same time. I see that the people of the world are walking in the dust. They do not know what is going on. How long can they enjoy glory and splendor? Even if they have 1,000 pounds of gold, they do not know the poverty of the forest. That voice was like the voice of a deity. The sky was filled with light and thousands of arrows destroyed everything. Silence. The Green Province was silent. When the light gradually fell to the ground like snowflakes, the people looked up and realized that there were no divine beasts in the sky. There was nothing. Instead, the sky turned blue, and a blue-robed figure stood there quietly. This scene shocked the people of the 6 barracks. They now knew what it meant when a powerhouse was angry that the sky would fall and the earth would split. After all, there were 100,000 experts there, and they were all in the Sage Realm. Any one of them could be considered an overlord in the Green Province. However, they were killed in one move. Young Master Wuyin's breathing stopped, and his expression froze. The son of the devil, Lin Ling, had become so strong. He had killed all the half-step martial ancestor divine beasts by himself, and the son of the devil, Lin Ling, was only at the 4th heaven of the Sage Realm. Previously, you wanted to bring their heads back and give them a proper burial. However, do you think you can leave by yourself? While young Master Wuyin was still in shock, a cold voice came from Lin Ling's mouth. Without seeing how Lin Ling moved, he had already appeared in front of young Master Wuyin. A second-grade ultimate desolate body is so weak. He looked at young Master Wuyin with contempt. Young Master Wuyin's body trembled. Why was his second-grade ultimate desolate body ineffective against Lin Ling? It's not over yet. However, young Master Wuyin did not have an undeserved reputation for being able to rise from the east and enter the world of gods. His hands moved quickly, and the embroidery needles danced, embroidering something around his body. The sun, moon, mountains, and rivers appeared. This was the real endless mountains and rivers. Boom! Lin Ling's left arm trembled, and a dragon claw appeared. He suddenly slashed out. Rumble! The endless mountains and rivers were crushed by the claw. The number 1 genius born in the East. Chapter 3392. Holy Night of God. It's not over yet. At this moment, Master Wuyin seemed to have transformed into a netherworld maiden. He used his embroidery arts to embroider a world of gods. Universal void appeared. This was a real universal void. It had to be said that his talent was indeed terrifying. He could be said to be a god that had yet to rise. However, if he was a god that had yet to mature, then Lin Ling was a god that was already maturing. A slash of his sword. The universal void was like a painting as it was torn apart by the sword, revealing Master Wuyin behind the universal void. His expression was clearly one of panic. Impossible. He let out a cry of disbelief. Phew. However, Lin Ling's dragon claw suddenly reached forward and grabbed Master Wuyin's embroidery needle. The embroidery needle was also extremely powerful. It let out a sharp sound like a worm and pierced through Lin Ling's palm, entering Lin Ling's body as though it wanted to wreak havoc. Upon seeing this, Master Wuyin's eyes lit up. The corners of his mouth nearly curled into a smile. Wreaking havoc in my territory? However, Lin Ling did not seem to know that the embroidery needle had entered his body. Instead, he said coldly. After he said this, the sharp sound was heard again. The strange embroidery needle actually retreated from Lin Ling's palm, as though it had seen something terrifying in Lin Ling's body. This scene caused the smile on Master Wuyin's face to freeze. How could this be? He did not know that other than Lin Ling's 5 dantians being powerful, his body was also an existence that could not be underestimated. After all, he had 2 ultimate desolate bodies. Together with the spacetime divine steel, he had 3 ultimate desolate bodies. How could Master Wuyin's embroidery needle resist the dragon god body? Pang! The next moment, Lin Ling crushed the embroidery needle in his grip. No! Young Master Wuyin's heart trembled with fear. Lin Ling's strength was too ridiculous. He, young Master Wuyin, had a higher cultivation level and greater talent, so why was he being ruthlessly suppressed by Lin Ling? He could not figure it out at all. If he knew that Lin Ling had not even used his full strength against him, his heart would probably fall into the abyss. All of this was caused by you. You should know what kind of person I am. I even dare to kill a god, much less a mere piece of trash like you. To be honest, you can provoke me or even challenge me, but you should not have come to my homeworld. You have violated my principles. Lin Ling's principles. Lin Ling looked at Master Wuyin indifferently. That gaze made Master Wuyin feel suffocated. Master Wuyin gritted his teeth and said, "Son of Devil, I'm not the only one who wants your life. I'm just following orders. If you dare to kill me, Qing province will definitely be plunged into misery and suffering." Pang. Wuyin Wuyin Wuyin, Wuyin Wuyin to Wuyin to Wuyin. You are very familiar with me, so you should also know that this kind of threat is completely useless to me. Instead, it will only hasten your death. Son of the devil, I'm from the Duan clan. Master Wuyin's heart turned cold. He knew that after his defeat, the son of devil would definitely kill him. However, he never thought that he would be defeated. After all, it had only been a few years since the great battle in the Yan province. In just a few years, the son of the devil had entered the 4th heaven of the Saint Realm. This was already very impressive. How could he possibly become stronger with other means? However, it just so happened that Lin Ling's other methods had indeed become stronger. Moreover, they had become ridiculously strong, abnormally strong. I don't know the Duan clan. Hearing this, Lin Ling sneered. The Duan clan is the #1 clan in Miaozhou and the only clan in 9 regions that can enter the world of gods. You actually don't know them. At this moment, an indifferent voice drifted out. In the sky, golden light shone resplendently, and then a young man riding a horse slowly walked over from the void. He was obviously very far away from Qing province. What he saw was only an afterimage, but it was as if he had personally arrived at Qing province. The afterimages kept getting closer and closer. In just a breath's time, a night appeared in the sky above Qingzhou. It was a godlike night. "Who are you?" Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the young man. He realized that the young man's strength was unfathomable. On the surface, he seemed to be in the saint realm, but he seemed to have sealed some kind of power. His body contained both the power of gods and the power of ancestors. This meant that this person was a genuine martial ancestor. Moreover, this was the first time that Lin Ling had seen such a young martial ancestor. "Divine Sacred Knight, Duan Yi," the young man said proudly. He looked at the people of Qin province as if he was looking at a group of ants. It was a ruthless and cold gaze. "Divine Sacred Knight?" "Yes." Lin Ling frowned. "I know you don't understand, so I'll tell you again. Divine Sacred Knight, one of the four great gods, the Divine Guard. You should understand what I mean." The young man said indifferently. "The four great gods." "Yes." Hearing this, Doing and the others were the first to gasp. To them, the four great gods were legendary figures. They had only heard of these names and would never have the chance to meet them in their lifetime. It was rumored that the four great gods were the only four great gods left after the Great War of the Era of Gods. They dominated the world of gods and decided the divine emperor of Zhozhou. The ancient power was the power that they left behind. "Because you're the divine sacred knight, and also the lord above him, I have to give you face." "Yes." Lin Ling's brows relaxed and he said again, "Also, I think this is the first time I've met you." "Yes." "It's not the first time. During the Great War of Yan Province, the new Heavenly Court and the Flame Emperor came to kill you. I was also there." The young man said with a smile. "Is this the reason why you ordered the underworld to attack Qing Province?" Lin Ling asked. "That's not it. It's just that I made a bet with someone. Many people said that you, Lin Ling, are difficult to capture, so I wanted to tell them that it was just that, so I came to find you." The young man said with a smile. Although he was the guard of a god, he seemed to think of himself as a god. Because of a bet, he wreaked havoc in Qin province. Veins appeared on Lin Ling's forehead as he nodded. "So that's how it is. But in my opinion, you seem to be just another person's dog. I don't understand why you can feel superior even as a dog." "You're calling me a dog?" The young man was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Ling to mock him without saying anything. "I'm not saying that you're a dog. I'm saying that you're a loyal dog," Lin Ling said again. The young man was stunned again. "Son of the devil, Lin Ling, you're too bold." At this time, the dark clouds in the sky rolled, and a large number of experts arrived. This group of experts was as pale as paper and lacked spirit, as if they were corpses from the underworld. However, there was a silk banner among them with a few words written on it, "Resting place of heroic spirits. 9 provinces 10 evils." Although it was Lin Ling's second time seeing this group of people who controlled dead spirits, he wasn't surprised by their appearance because he had already guessed it. "Son of the devil, Lin Ling, you won't be able to escape today." Moreover, the appearance of the 9 provinces 10 evils wasn't a mere resting place of heroic spirits. A man had also arrived with a large number of demonic beasts. Demonic chi surged, causing one's heart to palpitate. Chapter 3393. I was wrong. I didn't expect a dog of God to be with the 9 prefectures 10 fiends. How ironic. Doesn't God represent justice? Lin Ling wasn't surprised by the appearance of the Great Devil sect. He killed one of the 5 Great Devil elders, so the Great Devil sect must hate him to the core. Your mouth stinks. After the experts of the Great Devil sect arrived, their faces were extremely ugly and they were boiling with anger. Because with so many experts besieging Lin Ling, this Lin Ling actually dared to be stubborn. This kind of tenacious fighting spirit was often the most infuriating thing. Son of Devil, Lin Ling, why do you have to do this? Moreover, after the great devil sect ended, another powerful force of the 9 prefectures arrived. This time, it was the Divine Escort Mansion. They came with the banner of justice. The Divine Escort Mansion had helped the new Heavenly Court in the past, so Lin Ling wasn't surprised that they would also appear. How lively! Which other dogs are coming? Is the new Heavenly Court here? Lin Ling smiled and simply waited quietly. He wanted to see how many people in the 9 prefectures wanted his life. I'm sorry, Lin Ling. Our Fu Hang Manor is also here. However, what surprised Lin Ling was that the new Heavenly Court didn't come. Instead, the 9 prefectures' Fu Hang Manor came. The Fu Hang Manor was a bank that could be found all over the 9 prefectures. The strongest was the 13 Blessings. In the past, Lin Ling also had a friendship with Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling never expected that the Fu Hang Manor would also participate in this operation. Moreover, there's also us. Other than the Fu Hang Manor, the Flying Dragon organization also sent people over. Countless assassins appeared. You guys. Duing was from the Flying Dragon organization and was an expert with 13 kills. Therefore, he recognized the assassins that came. They were all above 15 kills and could be called the elites of the Flying Dragon organization. Duing also didn't expect that the Flying Dragon organization would make a move on Lin Ling. This meant that the Flying Dragon organization had given up on Lin Ling. The reason was probably because they were afraid of the 4 great gods. The great forces of the 9 prefectures, the Godly Escort Mansion, the Flying Dragon organization, and the Fu Hang Manor had all appeared. These great forces with endless history had all appeared. This made Lin Ling smile because Lin Ling had come into contact with these ancient powers when he was very weak. But today, because of the divine paladins, they were all targeting him, Lin Ling. On the contrary, the new Heavenly Court was the only one that didn't come. However, Lin Ling guessed that the new Heavenly Court was probably waiting for everything behind the scenes. At this moment, the sky above Qin province was extremely oppressive. All the warriors in Qin province found it difficult to breathe. They did not know what had happened, but they all had an intuition that there must be countless 9 states Mount Tai and Big Dipper above the land of Qin province. Lord Lin Ling. Everyone was worried about Lin Ling. At present, only Lin Ling alone in Qin province could withstand these storms. At this moment, on the side of Sky City, all the experts were looking at Lin Ling with indifferent expressions. They did not make any moves. Perhaps in their opinion, with so many great forces taking action, Lin Ling would not be able to escape even if he grew wings, so there was no need to be anxious. Now, do you have anything you want to say? The young man on the horse looked at Lin Ling with a smile. The Son of Devil was very famous, but in his opinion, it was just so. He only needed to move his eyebrows and the Son of Devil would be captured. I'm sorry. I was wrong when I said that you were a dog. At this moment, Lin Ling raised his head and said indifferently. Hearing this, the young man smiled. He was not surprised that Lin Ling would say this. It seemed that Lin Ling was afraid and was now begging for mercy. Humans are a changeable animal. One moment, they can be strong and unyielding, but the next moment, they become like a stray dog. But it's understandable. The young man laughed. I was wrong before, because I shouldn't have targeted you. That loyal dog wasn't referring to you alone, but to everyone here. However, before the young man's laughter ended, Lin Ling spoke again. This caused the young man's laughter to freeze, and he looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling did not apologize or beg for mercy. In fact, he was cursing everyone. Do you know what you're saying? The young man's face turned ferocious, and the anger in his heart was extremely strong. Death was at hand, but that kid was still so stubborn. I'm saying that you're not the only dog. Everyone here is a dog. Do you hear me clearly? If you think my voice is not loud enough, then I'll shout. Lin Ling said calmly, everyone here is a loyal dog. Dog. When this sentence floated out, it caused ripples in the endless mountains and rivers of Qingzhou. It caused the hearts of all the strong cultivators to explode. It was undeniable that Lin Ling was indeed powerful. However, did Lin Ling think that he could go against all of them by himself? What a joke! As for Master Wuyin, who was still being held by Lin Ling's dragon claw, his heart was roaring. He was roaring because of Lin Ling's arrogance. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's gaze was already on him, and there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. You! Master Wuyin suddenly thought of something when he saw that gaze. You've seen it now. Your master is here, but I'm still not afraid. So, what right do you, a piece of trash from the east border, have to make me revere you? Lin Ling said with a smile. Master Wuyin's body trembled. He knew that Lin Ling wanted to kill him. He definitely wanted to kill him. Lin Ling was not even afraid of the great forces of the 9 prefectures, so why would he be afraid of him? As for his master, Duan Yi, Lin Ling had already scolded him to his face. How could he give him face? You don't have to say anything. I'll kill you in front of your master. Lin Ling's smile turned cold, but his voice sounded like he was talking to a friend. The bloodthirsty and murderous aura in his body was like a seed that kept sprouting. Today, for Qingzhou, for his home, he was ready to fight a bloody battle. This was because he would never give up his home. This was his principle. Bang! In the next moment, Master Wuyin's neck was crushed, and his lower body fell to the ground. Lin Ling's dragon claw was still holding the head. After admiring it for a while, he threw it at the young man on the horse. I'll return it to you. The head flew over, and blood splattered, leaving a dazzling trail in the sky. Bang! Duan Yi's brows twitched. He released his power and blasted the head into pieces. However, his face was extremely gloomy, and his anger had reached its peak. In the 9 prefectures, no one had ever dared to provoke the sacred Knight of God. The son of demon was the number 1, and his demonic nature was very strong. I originally wanted to spare your life, but it seems like there's no need for that. I know you're very strong, but do you see how many martial ancestors there are here? Duan Yi shouted angrily, and a long halberd appeared in his hand. The halberd shone with golden light. This was a top-notch extreme weapon, and it contained a strand of divine power. Although it was very little, it was a power that could dominate the 9 prefectures. Can you block one of my attacks? Let me tell you, I'm a martial ancestor. Duan Yi thrust his halberd forward, and the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. A huge halberd shot toward Lin Ling. After you die, everyone in Qingzhou will die. The terrifying halberd shone with a dazzling golden light and shot toward Lin Ling. Its power was extremely terrifying. But before they could even land, the ground around Sky City began to shatter and fly up into the sky. My lord! Chapter 3394. So what if you're a divine paladin? Rumble. The halberd quickly wreaked havoc on Lin Ling, sending him crashing into the ground. Then, a huge shockwave exploded out and a huge crater appeared. Martial ancestor, do you know what a martial ancestor is? A divine paladin, do you know what a divine paladin is? When he saw that Lin Ling was unable to withstand a single blow, Duan Yi sneered. His anger seemed to have lessened. The people from the various great forces were also sneering. They reckoned that Lin Ling should be dead by now. After all, no matter how powerful a martial sage was, he could not possibly be a match for a martial ancestor. Rumble. However, at that moment, the ground began to tremble. A monster grew out of the billowing dust. Its aura was extremely terrifying, like a dragon god or a ferocious creature. In the next instant, a dazzling golden light flashed and a halberd was thrown back. It was as swift as lightning and filled with vigor. So what if you're a divine paladin? Following that, a domineering and arrogant voice, like the language of a demon, spread throughout Qingzhou. The powerful halberd was none other than Duan Yi's halberd of the gods. However, it had been thrown back with extreme ferocity, causing Duan Yi's steed to let out a neigh and raise its legs up high. At the same time, the halberd arrived and bombarded Duan Yi. Bang bang bang. The sky continued to explode as Duan Yi and his horse were sent flying. After flying for 1,000 miles, the momentum finally weakened. Duan Yi's expression was as ugly as death. His anger, which had previously weakened, had now multiplied. The demon's son had actually blocked his divine paladin. This had exceeded his expectations because his understanding of the demon's son was only that of a martial sage. What? The expressions of the experts from the various great forces changed. Duan Yi was a divine paladin and his strength had reached the initial stage of the martial ancestor realm. Such an expert was not someone that the demon's son could fight against. However, they had personally witnessed the demon's son return the divine paladin's attack. Rumble. The dust on the ground churned as a shadow slowly floated up. It gave off a suffocating feeling. Amidst the billowing dust, the crowd could vaguely see darkness baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. What is that? Many people began to mumble to themselves. The dust gradually dispersed, revealing a gigantic demon. It stood on the ground and was as tall as an ancient mountain. Its entire body was pitch black, and its hands had dragon claws. On its shoulders, there was an angry dragon roaring. The visual impact it gave off was extremely terrifying. This was Lin Ling's talent fusion. This is the son of devil. Could this be his true body? I think so. Otherwise, why would he be called the son of devil? Could it be that huge monster that blocked the attack of the divine paladin? Many experts started to discuss spiritedly. Their evaluation of the son of the devil increased by another notch. The son of the devil was indeed worthy of being the fourth leader of the God-slaying alliance. It seemed that the young Master Yao of the God-slayer alliance was no fool. Since he could make the son of demon his leader, he obviously knew how strong the son of demon was. At this instant, the opinion of many people towards Lin Ling rose steadily, and it had already arrived at a terrifying limit. They came from various factions in the 9 prefectures, including the 9 prefectures' 10 evils. For them to remember someone was an affirmation of his strength. The son of the devil is someone who will repay kindness with kindness and revenge with revenge. Today, we have broken off all relations with him. Based on the son of the devil's personality, he will definitely not let us go. Therefore, I feel that we must kill him here. At this moment, a cold voice rang out, causing many experts' hearts to surge. That's right, if the son of the devil was their friend, they would naturally be happy for him. However, the son of the devil was already their enemy. If they did not eliminate such an enemy, they would be the ones in trouble in the future. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots. This was especially true for the experts from the Flying Dragon Organization and Fu Hang Manor. They wanted Lin Ling dead. This was because Lin Ling used to be their friend. However, now that they had betrayed their friend, based on Lin Ling's personality, they would definitely be the first to be killed. Son of the devil, we know that you are powerful. However, you are still not a martial ancestor. Someone from the Flying Dragon Organization shouted, "We have so many martial ancestors here. Do you think we can't kill you? Kill him." An old man from Fu Xing Manor also spoke, as if Lin Ling was already the biggest enemy of Fu Xing Manor. His attitude infuriated Falling Flowers, Flowing Water, and the others. This was because they were familiar with the Fu Hang Manor, especially Luo Riyao. He was the deputy manor master of the Qing province's Fu Hang Manor. However, who would have thought that the Fu Hang Manor would turn around and attack Lin Ling today? Kill him. Duan Yi also spoke coldly. His eyes were extremely cold. He could sense a terrifying demonic chi and dragon chi from the monster before him. He did not know what the son of the devil had done, but he knew that the son of the devil was not much weaker than him. This made him even more eager to kill Lin Ling. After all, not long ago, he had arrogantly arrived and called himself the Divine Sacred Knight. However, now, his Divine Sacred Knight was only SOSO. Boom! The sky suddenly exploded as the experts from the various factions attacked. On the ground, the huge monster's eyes were cold. He let out a low growl that sounded like a dragon's roar. He clenched his dragon claws, causing the void to explode. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. This was a powerful physical strength that had reached the power of 5,000 worlds. One had to know that Lin Ling's Sky Dragon Bone and Great Nether Wind Dragon were both ultimate desolate bodies. After refining so many dragon bones in the Rainbow Realm, how could his strength be weak? At this moment, he had already transformed into a dragon god. He was even a mutated dragon god because the realm-devouring beast strength had been added to it. Rumble. The dragon claws collided with the assembled monsters in the sky. With a crash, the assembled monsters were immediately torn apart. Blood splattered across the sky. So strong. This is simply the best material for assembling demonic beasts. The man from the Great Devil Sect's expression changed drastically. Only after the collision did he realize how terrifying the son of the devil was. Woo woo woo. At this moment, a large number of dead spirits surged toward Lin Ling. The entire Green Province had been poisoned. However, Lin Ling's soul power had reached 8,000 levels. He was not afraid of the dead spirits at all. Instead, the dead spirits bit his huge body, causing him to bleed profusely. The expert from the Flying Dragon organization used a fatal attack and slashed open Lin Ling's body. If not for Lin Ling's physical body being too strong, he would have died long ago with the attacks of these powerhouses. After all, they were all martial progenitor realm experts. His defense is too strong. Duan Yi's expression changed drastically. Although Lin Ling was at a disadvantage, Lin Ling was blocking the martial ancestors of the various factions by himself. He was fighting against a group of martial ancestors alone. Most importantly, he was only at the Sage Realm. Duan Yi shuddered at the thought of this. This monster's body is too huge. It's difficult to kill him in one move. Everyone, let's slowly wear him down. Chapter 3395. A Chaotic Battle. The martial progenitors said coldly as they continued to attack Lin Ling. Blood rained down from the sky and the ground was dyed red by Lin Ling's blood. Of course, Lin Ling had 5 dantians and the power of 5,000 realms. In addition to the 3 ultimate desolation bodies, he was not someone to be trampled on. Any first-level martial progenitor would be injured by Lin Ling if they were not careful. Swoosh! Lin Ling's mouth was like the mouth of a realm-devouring beast with dragon fangs. When a martial progenitor was too proud, he tore him apart. Die! Lin Ling's voice became deep. Seeing the first martial progenitor die, the expressions of all the experts turned grave. Everyone, don't hold back. If we allow this monster to grow, it will be our doomsday. The murderous intent in the eyes of the experts intensified. They attacked together as if they were going to destroy Qing province. The power of the progenitor exploded. Progenitor, this was the will of the martial progenitor. It also represented the power of the martial way. It could be said to be the power of returning to the origin. In fact, many martial arts of the 9 continents were derived from the power of the progenitor. For example, sword intent, sword force, ultimate martial arts, and even the power of ranks. The power of the progenitor was the ancestor of these martial way realms. Shockwaves rolled and a huge shockwave appeared, destroying Qing province and affecting Tianzhou and Crimson province. This was the power of the fusion of the power of the progenitor. These powers intertwined and turned from the shockwave into the shape of a huge sun. The power contained within was extremely terrifying. It would be easy to destroy Qing province. At that moment, many experts from the 9 continents appeared in the void and looked at the scene in shock. So many martial progenitors had joined forces. This was unprecedented in the 9 continents. It's the son of the demon. Every time he appears, waves will appear in the 9 continents. This time, the people chasing after him are martial progenitors. TSK, even if the son of the demon is dead, he will be famous for thousands of years. The cultivators who were hovering in the void all mumbled to themselves. As for the Azure Prefecture, it seemed as if it was floating in the air. On the ground, Lin Ling had turned into a monster. He was filled with bloodlust and murderous intent. He roared at the sky like a dragon god. His aura was so terrifying that the martial ancestors' faces turned even more serious. The son of the devil could not be left alive. Rumble. Finally, the blazing sun formed from ancestral power blasted the earth. Roar, roar, roar. The monster that Lin Ling had transformed into let out a furious roar. Its dragon claws slapped towards the sky in an attempt to block the terrifying power. However, he could not retreat, because if he did, the Azure province would definitely suffer a calamity. It was also the first time in his life that Lin Ling had fought so many martial ancestors at once. Ka ka ka. At this moment, his huge body was also cracking open. His muscles were collapsing and blood was sputtering out. Looking from afar, it was as if a giant was blocking the blazing sun in the sky. It was a shocking sight. My lord! The people from the 6 camps all knelt down. Their commander-in-chief was blocking the top experts of the 9 prefectures with his own strength. This was a great source of pride for the Azure province. No, it was also a great source of pride for the 9 prefectures. Among the younger generation of the 9 prefectures, no one had such heroic spirit. In fact, even the cultivators in the void could not help but admire him. This was what a cultivator should be like. He fought against the heavens and the earth. He did not hesitate to fight. Kill him. When the martial ancestors saw how terrifying the monster that Lin Ling had transformed into was, their hearts trembled once again. How was he still a human? He was a godly beast left behind by a god. He won't be able to hold on for long. Duan Yi clenched his fists and veins popped out on his forehead. He wanted to see Lin Ling die. He could not let Lin Ling live. He didn't expect that he, who had come here casually, would become incomparably nervous at this moment. At the end of the day, the strength that Lin Ling had displayed was simply too powerful. Rumble. Lin Ling risked his life to block the power of the ancestors. However, the overbearing power was destroying him. He gritted his teeth and did not take a step back. In the end, the power of the ancestors drowned him. However, because of his resistance, the entire Azure province escaped this calamity. Lord Lin Ling. The cultivators of Azure province looked in the direction of Sky City. Their palms were covered in sweat. Ling, Lord. Ancestor Taiyan and the others were also watching from afar. They never expected that today's battle would attract so many top experts from the 9 prefectures. It could be said that Azure province had encountered a great calamity. There was only one person who could block those experts, and that was Lin Ling. However, could Lin Ling block them? At this moment, sorrow rose in many people's hearts. It was the feeling of a hero's lament. Lord Commander-in-Chief. Lord. The people from the 6 camps were not far from Lin Ling. However, they were unharmed. This meant that Lin Ling had blocked all the power from before. Tears welled up in the eyes of all the soldiers. They knelt on one knee. As for the martial ancestors in the sky, their faces were cold and emotionless. Duan Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. He said disdainfully, "What a piece of trash. I thought that he could block those attacks. What a disappointment." Sigh. As soon as he finished speaking, the people from the 6 camps gnashed their teeth in anger. Would the divine paladins dare to block such a powerful attack? He probably wouldn't dare. He only knew how to make sarcastic remarks. He was trash. The power of the ancestors is indeed powerful. No matter how strong my trump card is, if my cultivation level is not high enough, it will be difficult for me to defeat a martial ancestor. However, at this moment, a cold voice floated up from the ground. A figure stood up from the shattered ground with great difficulty. His body was covered in blood. He was no longer a huge monster. Instead, he was in the form of an ordinary person. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were still looking at the sky without fear. It was Lin Ling. He was not dead yet. When they saw the young man stand up again, the faces of all the cultivators froze. They even forgot to breathe for a moment. When all the martial ancestors joined forces, their strength was earth-shattering. They had thought that killing the devil's son would not be difficult. However, it seemed that they had only made the devil's son's monster body disappear and injured him. This showed how terrifying the devil's son's transformation had been. Who the hell is he? Duan Yi had witnessed Lin Ling's tenacity with his own eyes. He was shocked once again. He thought of the boast he had made not long ago. He had said that the devil's son would be a piece of cake. But now, despite using all sorts of methods, bullying him with numbers, and suppressing him with their cultivation, the son of devil was still standing on the ground, like an immovable mountain. That figure had undoubtedly left a heavy shadow in Duan Yi's heart. He is already exhausted, like a lamp that has run out of oil. It is extremely easy to kill him. At this moment, an old man from Fu Xing Manor said calmly. His words caused many people to react. They stared at the devil's son and realized that he was heavily injured. It was difficult for him to even stand up. It was obvious that he had lost the ability to fight. Chapter 3396. Summon the Dragon Race. Lin Ling, what else do you have to say? The old man from Fu Hang Manor spoke again. His words were filled with righteousness as if he was enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. As for the Flying Dragon Organization and the Divine Escort Mansion, those people were also eyeing Lin Ling covetously. Their faces made Lin Ling feel a wave of disgust. He remained silent and used his cold gaze to memorize all of their ugly faces. I know you hate us, but in this world, the winner is king, and the loser is a bandit. Son of the devil, you have perished. Lin Ling's silence made all the powerhouses believe that Lin Ling had already given up and was only remembering them at the last moment. What makes you think you can kill me? But at this moment, Lin Ling finally spoke. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, all the cultivators laughed loudly. Wasn't this obvious? Because we're martial ancestors. An assassin from the Flying Dragon Organization said indifferently. Martial ancestor, I understand. Lin Ling nodded. He knew that it was time for today's battle to come to an end. I'm looking at you because I want to remember all of you. I'm not looking to kill you in the future, but to kill you now. A black stone appeared in Lin Ling's hand, and a wisp of ghost chi and dragon chi quietly spread out. Is the martial ancestor that amazing? Dense haze started to spread out from the rocks, causing the Azure province to suddenly become oppressive. The martial ancestor experts in the sky frowned. Lin Ling still had other tricks up his sleeve. However, they all laughed. Even Lin Ling's demon body was defeated by them. Even if Lin Ling still had a trump card, how strong could he be? I'll wait. The various experts said coldly. The haze was getting thicker and thicker, drowning the land of Qingzhou. However, in the haze, huge figures quietly appeared, as though they had come from the underworld. As for the martial progenitor realm experts in the sky, they were laughing coldly at the beginning, but they soon frowned as they sensed a sense of danger. In the end, their expressions turned serious, and a trace of fear quietly spread. As time passed, the fog finally dispersed. Towering figures that resembled the Big Dipper loomed over the earth. They were motionless, as if they were statues. However, the aura they emitted gave off a suffocating feeling. It was as if the dragon gods were sitting on the ground. However, these were all mutated dragon gods because they looked extremely terrifying, ferocious. There were tigers, crocodiles, eagles, and cheetahs, but they also had the characteristics of dragons. The dragon race. This thought rose in everyone's mind. That's right, they seemed to have seen one of the most mysterious existences in the universe, the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan had disappeared from the void of the universe for a very, very long time. However, everyone knew that the Dragon Clan was a colossus that had existed since the era of the gods. And now, the Dragon Clan seemed to have appeared before their eyes. This was especially true for the young man who was surrounded by countless monsters. At this moment, he looked even more like the king of the dragon gods. No, it should be the king of divine beasts. Upon having this thought, the martial progenitors swallowed their saliva with great difficulty. Drops of cold sweat rolled down their foreheads. Martial progenitors, are you that amazing? On the ground, Lin Ling's cold voice drifted out. Are they that amazing? At this moment, the martial progenitors did not feel that they were that amazing. Kill them all, leave none alive. As if the king of hell had issued the order of life and death, a gust of murderous wind blew across the ground. When the voice drifted out, the expressions of the martial progenitors in the sky changed drastically. Retreat. The expert from the Flying Dragon organization was the first to shout. He was the fastest because he was an assassin. However, the monsters on the ground were even faster than him. A huge black shadow loomed over his head. It was a huge dragon eagle. I don't know what a martial progenitor is, but compared to the ghost dragon god, you are still too weak. The dragon eagle spoke in human language. Its sharp wings swept across the sky like countless daggers. It seemed simple, but it contained the most ancient power of the universe. It was the power of a dragon. Swoosh! The Flying Dragon organization's assassin's body was slashed apart by countless daggers. He stared at the sky in disbelief before falling to the ground. He had killed people all his life with daggers, but today, he was killed by the sharp wings of daggers. The Flying Dragon organization was the group that wanted to kill Lin Ling the most today, because they were decisive enough to eliminate the root of the problem. However, they were also the first to die. Flying Dragon organization, what do you think? On the ground, Lin Ling raised his head with a cold gaze. The remaining assassins of the Flying Dragon organization were in chaos. The situation had changed. Lin Ling was going to kill them all. It was like a dream for the martial progenitors. Today, so many factions had gathered for Lin Ling. They believed that Lin Ling would not be able to escape even if he grew wings and could not stop so many experts. However, in the end, Lin Ling summoned the dragon tribe to kill them all. Great Devil Sect, let's see if your assembled demonic beasts or my demonic dragons are stronger. Who's going to kill them? Lin Ling looked at the Great Devil Sect again, and the hearts of the people from the Great Devil Sect trembled. Sir, I'll do it. A huge demonic bear pounced into the sky. As it walked, its body grew taller and taller, turning into an indomitable demonic bear. Rumble. The bear's paw slapped out like a divine dragon swinging its tail, and the assembled demonic beasts were beaten into pieces, unable to withstand a single blow. Fuhang Manor, who's going? Lin Ling was like the dragon god king, and more like the commander-in-chief, giving out missions to his subordinates. Every mission was like a life or death order. I'll do it. Godly escort mansion, who's going? Sir, I'll do it. Countless demonic dragons rushed into the sky, and an earth-shattering battle broke out. The demonic dragons from the Rainbow Realm were the demonic kings of the Silent Hills. Other than the ghost dragon god, no one could fight them. In the sky, fresh blood sprinkled down. The lives of martial ancestors were like ants, being harvested one by one. As for the people of Qingzhou, they were in a dream. Were they still the insufferably arrogant martial ancestors? Duan Yi was surrounded by countless demonic dragons, and he didn't dare to move. His body was trembling, and he could only watch as the demonic dragons destroyed everything. The experts of the various factions all fell. The God Extermination Alliance isn't the only powerful faction of the Son of the Devil. Duan Yi muttered to himself. He had a feeling that the Son of the Devil had risen. This was no longer the Son of the Devil who had been chased by the various factions in Yan Province, and had only survived after the God Extermination Alliance intervened. He could rely on himself to sweep through the 9 provinces. At this moment, death was still spreading. Gradually, only a horse and Duan Yi remained in the sky. Countless demonic dragons coldly looked at him, as if there were countless mountains in the sky. That terrifying aura made it difficult for Duan Yi to breathe. Son of the Devil, who are you? Chapter 3397. The Order of Lei Gong. Senior Martial God. Duan Yi was overjoyed when he saw the man's sudden arrival. Wentian Martial God. Lin Ling frowned too. It was his second time seeing Wentian Martial God since he had reincarnated. Wentian Martial God was standing beside Duan Yi, but his eyes were fixed on Lin Ling as if he could see through Lin Ling. Wentian Martial God was indeed curious about Lin Ling. He had asked an expert who was as strong as a deity to help him and severely injured Wentian Martial God. After going missing, he was able to summon the dragon tribe and kill martial progenitors like chopping vegetables. There were too many mysteries surrounding the son of demon. Why don't we shake hands and make peace? Wentian Martial God added. He knew that Lin Ling possessed extraordinary strength. Impossible. Lin Ling said as he shook his head firmly. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. In the past, he was no match for Wentian Martial God. He could only conceal himself and seek revenge in secret. However, now that he had grown stronger, he was no longer afraid of Wentian Martial God. Wentian Martial God nodded. He was not enraged. Instead, he said with a smile, "Do I know you?" "Yes." Lin Ling nodded. Lin Ling had said he did not know Wentian Martial God when he first met him. At that time, he did not want Wentian Martial God to suspect that he was Li Xiaoyao, but now, he had admitted it. Very well. Wentian Martial God squinted. He had a feeling that Lin Ling must know him. Otherwise, Lin Ling would not keep picking on him. He glanced at the surrounding dragon beasts, who were staring back at him coldly. These beasts with the bloodline of the dragon tribe are indeed powerful, but I believe they are no match for a martial god. Wentian Martial God said calmly. Lin Ling already knew about this. The reason being that the ghost dragon deity was already a half-martial god, but the demonic dragons were helpless against it. However, Lin Ling was not completely helpless. He still had a trick up his sleeve, which was to merge with the demonic dragons and transform again. This transformation was definitely stronger than the transformations of the 3 great innate skills. Although he was still no match for martial god Wen Tian, at least Lin Ling could escape safely. You'll know once you try. Therefore, Lin Ling replied calmly. Seeing martial god Wen Tian again, Lin Ling no longer wanted to hide anything. He wanted to confront him head-on. Hee. Wentian Martial God chuckled in a carefree manner. No one could tell what he was thinking. Son of the Devil, Lei Gong requests an audience. However, at this moment, Qing Prefecture attracted another important figure. It was an old woman in her 70s. Her face was full of scars, but she stood upright like a pine tree and her spine was like lightning. Her appearance had come without any warning, which meant that her strength was also at the peak of the 9 prefectures. She placed her hands behind her back and glanced coldly at Lin Ling. Lin Ling was not familiar with this person, but he could sense that her strength was unfathomable. Qing Prefecture has attracted the ancient experts of the 9 prefectures just for me. Lin Ling could not help but sigh inwardly. Lei Gong. Hearing the old woman's words, Marshal God Wentian's expression changed a little. His eyes were filled with deep meaning as he glanced at Lin Ling and eventually nodded. Duan Yi, let's go. I'll take you back. Then, he strode forward. Duan Yi stood there in a daze. Suddenly, he roared, Marshal God, are we going to let him go just like that? He thought that Wentian Marshal God had arrived and the son of the devil was dead for sure. However, Wentian Marshal God did not touch the son of the devil and left just like that. If Wentian Marshal God left, Duan Yi would have come for nothing and lost all his face. After all, he had boasted that it would be easy to capture the son of the devil alive. However, all the people he had brought with him had died in battle, leaving him alone to escape with his tail between his legs. How could he take this lying down? Let's go. Wentian Marshal God did not waste time and said indifferently. But Duan Yi was still unwilling. However, just as he finished speaking, Wentian Marshal God stopped and raised his hand to slap him. Slap. The crisp slap caused Duan Yi to spit out blood. His body trembled violently and he could only follow Wentian Marshal God. Once he left, the sacred cavalry of God would be easily captured. All of this was just a joke. After many twists and turns, the battle of the Qing Prefecture finally quieted down. However, this battle was bound to shake the 9 prefectures. This was because too many experts had been mobilized for this battle. Even the martial god had personally come. However, the son of the devil remained unscathed. Instead, he had left behind a ferocious name in the Qing prefecture. The Qing prefecture was not to be trifled with or humiliated. The son of the devil is truly powerful. He actually managed to fight the martial god head-on. Furthermore, this fellow has summoned the dragon race. He can kill martial ancestors as easily as killing chickens. I think he should be able to enter the final world of the 9 prefectures. In the universal void, the martial artists were discussing spiritedly. In the 9 prefectures, there had always been a final world. And the origin of this world was the Miao prefecture. Legend had it that warriors who could enter the final world were bound to become experts in the era of gods. Millions of years later, they would be called gods by their descendants. Unfortunately, the final world's entrance was too high. The 9 prefectures were vast and boundless. Less than 100 people could enter each year. This was because one could not enter without an ultimate desolate body. As for the son of the devil, he had been in the limelight during this period of time. He had risen like bamboo shoots after a rain. There were very few people in the 9 prefectures who did not know him. Therefore, he had the qualifications to enter. Senior, why are you helping me? After the Qing prefecture gradually calmed down, Lin Ling asked the cold old woman. By order of Lei Gong. The old woman lightly said, you don't need to know so much. Just follow me. I'll bring you to see Lei Gong. Where's Lei Gong? Lin Ling asked. The final world, which is the world of gods. You have a grudge with the new heavenly courts. If you want to deal with them, you have to enter the final world. Only there will you have the qualifications. The old woman continued, furthermore, not everyone has the qualifications to enter. The main reason is that you have been in the limelight during this period of time. Your growth in strength is also terrifying. Therefore, Lei Gong wants to see you. I got it. Lin Ling immediately nodded. This Lei Gong was definitely extraordinary. After all, even martial god Wentian had to give him face. However, this Lei Gong had specially come to find him. Was he friend or foe? Lin Ling quickly shook his head. Regardless of whether Lei Gong was friend or foe, this trip to the final world was indispensable. After all, he had already begun his revenge. Only by going to the final world could he openly take revenge. Furthermore, he still had a wish. That was to save the people in the rainforest sacred land and bring back Anuer. All of this required great strength as the foundation. And the final world could allow him to fulfill these wishes. I'll go with you in 3 days. Lin Ling said to the old woman. The old woman nodded and turned to leave. After Lin Ling kept the dragon demons, he led the army back to the imperial court proudly. The Qin prefecture had won this battle. Now, no one dared to provoke the Qin prefecture. Chapter 3398. Xingqiu Yun's Heart Knot. After returning to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, everyone was happy for Lin Ling. They knew that the Azure Province would have 100 years of peace from now on. In the 9 provinces, everyone remembered the name of the Son of Demon. The Son of Demon represented the entire Azure Province. Since he would be leaving in 3 days, Lin Ling had been accompanying his family all this time. On the 2nd day, he went to the Spirit Province to visit his master, Xingqiu Yun, and the others. However, what surprised Lin Ling was that Xingqiu Yun and the others also knew about the great battle in the Azure Province. The entire Spirit Province was shocked, but also extremely happy. Because to the Spirit Province, the Son of Demon was their realm emperor. In the past, they didn't dare to spread this news, but from now on, they no longer had any scruples. Moreover, the Spirit Province could borrow the deterrence of the Son of Demon to prevent other powerhouses from acting arrogantly in the Spirit Province. This guy, it's only been a few years since the great battle in the Flame Province, and he's already grown to this extent. Young Beast Lord said excitedly when he received the news from the God-slaying alliance. Yi Shui and the others felt a sense of pride. After all, the Son of Demon represented the God-slaying alliance. He, second brother is finally back. This guy even killed a martial ancestor powerhouse. It seems that his strength has greatly increased. Lin Ling can go to the final world. Sakura, Meng Lu, and Wangu Wuji were happy for Lin Ling, but they also felt pressure in their hearts. They didn't want Lin Ling to surpass them too much. Their goal was to reach the martial ancestor realm. Once they stepped into this realm, they would reach the peak of the 9 provinces. The path of martial arts is vast and boundless. Second brother and I have cultivated for almost 3,000 years. We started as weak existences and finally stood at the peak of the 9 provinces. We have become the idols of all the martial artists in the 9 provinces. Looking back, it really wasn't easy. Thinking of every little thing that had happened to Lin Ling, Sakura couldn't help but sigh. He and Lin Ling had once practiced martial arts at the 7 Profound Martial House. At that time, they were young and full of vigor, arrogant and unruly. Their goal was to reach the pinnacle of the world, but they had never imagined that they would one day achieve such accomplishments. I have to say, you and Lin Ling are the pride of the North. Meng Lu was different from Lin Ling. His background was better, but he still hadn't surpassed Lin Ling. This made him very depressed. It was because he knew just how difficult it was to rise up in the 9 provinces and 10,000 realms. It could be said to be 1 in 10,000. It's not just you, even I have been surpassed by him. Wangu Wuji interjected as he exchanged glances with young Master Yao. Fighting spirit rose in his heart as well. This was especially true for young Master Yao. In the past, he had been stronger than Lin Ling and represented the face of the God Slayer Alliance. But now, whenever people talked about the God Slayer Alliance, the first thing they would talk about was the Son of the Demon. Continue to work hard. The battle isn't over yet. After that, young Master Yao smiled and said, "This time, the forces from the 9 prefectures that came to kill Lin Ling are very powerful. Other than the 9 prefectures' 10 evils, there are also the Fu Hang Manor, the Godly Escort Mansion, and the Flying Dragon Organization. These giants of the 9 prefectures are already Lin Ling's enemies. They are also the enemies of our God-slaying alliance." That's right. With second brother's temperament, as long as he steps into the martial ancestor realm, he will definitely take revenge. We cannot let second brother take revenge alone. Sakura nodded. Let's go to the 7 forbidden lands of the 9 provinces, the Kai Yuan River. If we can obtain the treasures left behind by the gods, our strength will greatly increase. But don't underestimate the Kai Yuan River. It's not simple to be called a forbidden land. The God-slaying alliance's goal this time was the 7 forbidden lands of the 9 provinces. The Kai Yuan River was located in the void of the universe. It was a divine river with countless secrets, but it was also extremely dangerous. However, in order to become stronger, the God-slaying alliance would not hesitate. Just like them, Lin Ling also saw the Fortune Merchant Manor, the Flying Dragon Organization, and the Divine Escort Mansion as his enemies. If he stepped into the martial ancestor realm, he would definitely kill these great enemies. After chatting with Xing Shiyun and the others for a long time, Lin Ling suddenly felt that Xing Shiyun really wanted to go to the Yan province. After all, that was Xing Shiyun's hometown. Lin Ling even knew that Xing Shiyun wanted to return to the Great Change Nebula sect more than anything else. Lin Ling also intended to let Xing Shiyun go back and take a look. After all, he owed his master too much. As for returning to the Yan province, Lin Ling was no longer afraid of anything. Even martial god Wen Tian did not dare to touch him. This showed how terrifying Lei Gong was. He believed that the experts in the Flame Emperor would know everything. "Let's go, master. I'll go with you to the Yan province." Then, Lin Ling said to Xing Shiyun. "Let's go back to the Yan province." Xing Shiyun was obviously excited, but he still seemed to be unable to let go. "Yes, you've left the Great Change Nebula sect for many years. It's time to go back and take a look," Lin Ling said with a smile. "Go, old Xing. I know that this is your lifelong wish. In the past, you were too ashamed to go back. But now, you should be able to go back with pride." Yes. He had known Xing Shiyun for so many years and naturally knew the knot in Xing Shiyun's heart. "All right then." "Yes." Xing Shiyun nodded, but his heart was filled with excitement. "Yes, we're going to the Yan province." "Yes." Hearing that they were going to the Yan province, Xiao Yu clapped her hands happily. She had lived in the Yan province for a period of time in the past, so she was naturally familiar with the Yan province. Do Afterimage and Remnant Sword also smiled. The others immediately set out as well. They were all experts at the Saint Realm, and coupled with the fact that Xing Xiuyun was anxious to return home, the ancient continent appeared before them in just half a day's time. This was a continent where both miracles and dangers coexisted. Looking at the familiar continent, Lin Ling's lips curled into a smile. Back then, he, his elder brother, and Meng Lu fled and hid in the Yan province. Today, he no longer needed to flee or hide. He could enter the Yan province openly. "Young master, everything has changed." Do Afterimage sighed. He had been following Lin Ling and had witnessed the great changes in Lin Ling. It felt like a dream. This made him realize that following Lin Ling was better than staying in the Flying Dragon Organization. Lin Ling's future was limitless. Only the world of gods was Lin Ling's battlefield. "Who's there?" When Lin Ling and the others approached the Yan province, a cold shout immediately came from the void. The Yan province was at the peak of the 9 states. The rules were still the same as before. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter, and these people were responsible for stopping ordinary people. However, in the void, Lin Ling and the others were still moving forward, talking and laughing without fear. Who are these people? They look a little extraordinary. The experts in the void frowned, especially the young man in the lead. He wore a blue and white robe and looked calm, but he gave them a huge sense of pressure. Sir, do you have an invitation token? The voices of those experts changed, becoming more courteous. Chapter 3399. To Yen State. Those experts were put in a difficult position, but they didn't dare to provoke this group of people. My name is Son of the Devil. Come and stop me if you can. Seeing that they were silent, Lin Ling said a few words and led Xing Xian away. Xing Xian was a little confused because he knew the rules of the Yen province. Hence, he was afraid that they would be chased away. However, he was thinking too much. In the Yen state, the name of the Son of the Devil was even crazier than in the other 9 states. After all, who in the world did not know of the Son of the Devil after the great battle of the Yen state? In addition to the great battle in the Qing province, this made everyone know that the Son of Devil was not simple. He had already caught the attention of the experts of the God's world. Even martial god Wen Tian did not dare to touch the Devil's Son, let alone them. Tell the Flame Emperor that in the future, I, the son of the demon, will personally pay him a visit. While those experts were trembling with fear, a faintly discernible voice sounded in their ears, giving them a fright. The Son of the Devil was openly provoking the Flame Emperor. The Flame Emperor was the second most powerful emperor god in the 9 states. He was 100 times more powerful than the other emperors. Even the 9 states' 10 evils did not dare to provoke the Flame Emperor. However, the Son of the Devil dared to do so. Inform the Flame Emperor immediately. An expert said anxiously, transmitting sound over. The Son of Devil is here. The Flame Emperor immediately received the news, and his expression was extremely ugly. Flame Emperor, how should we deal with the Son of the Devil? These powerhouses also wanted to see what the Flame Emperor would do. After all, the Son of the Devil had already said that he would personally pay him a visit in the future. With such arrogance, the Flame Emperor couldn't possibly remain indifferent. Ignore him. However, the Flame Emperor sent a cold order. There was only one sentence: ignore him. What? All the experts were shocked. The Son of the Devil would definitely come looking for the Flame Emperor in the future, but the Flame Emperor did not even dare to fart and pretended not to see it. This was a huge humiliation. This also meant that the Flame Emperor was wary of the demonic son. Little did they know that the Flame Emperor was also furious, but there was nothing he could do. Even though he didn't know who came to help the demon son, he knew that martial god Wen Tian personally went to find the demon son but returned empty-handed. This explained everything. Since the Flame Emperor was able to become an emperor god, he was no fool. He knew that this was no small matter. Perhaps it was related to the secrets of the final world of the 9 prefectures and the world of gods. He knew that at the peak of the 9 continents, outside of the Miao continent, there was another world called the world of gods. That was where the 4 gods resided. Throughout the countless years in the 9 continents, all of the rising experts and geniuses from the myriad worlds ended up in the world of gods. Even the Flare Emperor had never been to that world. He only knew that it was connected to Miao State and was known as the World State. He guessed that Lin Ling might have caught the eye of one of the 4 great gods. Therefore, the Flame Emperor could only watch as his enemy continued to grow and become stronger. Eventually, he would come knocking on his door, but there was nothing he could do. Bastard, even though the demon son is strong, he has only killed initial stage martial ancestors. He is no match for me. I am stronger than him, but I can only watch and not kill him. In the Flame Emperor Divine Palace, the Flame Emperor flew into a rage and smashed countless crystal godly cups. However, Lin Ling was right under his nose, advancing without fear. This place, I remember. Xing Shiyun said excitedly as he walked. He saw the footprints of his childhood. All of this made him feel nostalgic and excited. Lin Ling accompanied Xing Shiyun. Of course, his eyes were also looking around. When he saw the destroyed fighting arena, he also thought of the ninth god's eye. Not long after, the Grand Change Nebula sect appeared in front of them. However, this once glorious sect was now in decline. He could vaguely see that the Grand Change Nebula sect was mostly made up of seniors from the older generation. Even if there was a younger generation, their talents were very ordinary. Obviously, after the battle in the Yen state, the disciples of the Grand Change Nebula sect had left. Therefore, the Grand Change Nebula sect could only relax the conditions for recruiting disciples. Master, the Grand Change Nebula sect. When he saw the familiar sect, Xing Shiyun became even more excited. Tears actually flowed out of his old eyes. This was because this was the place where he grew up. Every blade of grass and every piece of soil had memories that he could not bear to part with. Lin Ling and the others did not interrupt him. They stood quietly beside Xing Shiyun. They could all understand how Xing Shiyun was feeling at this moment. Suddenly, Xing Shiyun turned to look at Lin Ling and said, "Good disciple, when I first met you in the Eight Gods' heavenly palace, I wanted to recruit you as my disciple from the bottom of my heart. However, all these years, I have not taught you anything at all. I am ashamed to be your master. However, today, I have a request. I hope you can agree to it." "Master, please say it." Lin Ling nodded immediately. Although Xing Shiyun had not taught him any martial arts, Xing Shiyun had helped Lin Ling many times. For example, during the Qing state calamity, Lin Ling fought against the former Emperor Qing. Also, when Lin Ling sought refuge, Xing Shiyun recommended him to the Yen state. All of these were great favors. "Disciple, please spare the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect." Xing Shiyun pleaded when he saw Lin Ling nodding his head. "Sure." Lin Ling agreed immediately. Although he did not like the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect, it was his master's home after all. He would give him face. Thank you." Xing Shiyun almost knelt down. However, he was helped up by Lin Ling. This was his character. He did not care about the strength of the other party. He only cared about the relationship. Therefore, even if Xing Shiyun was not strong, Lin Ling would still treat him as his master. "Let's go and have a look at the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect," Lin Ling said with a smile. Xing Shiyun seemed even more excited and took the lead to move forward. The Grand Simplicity Nebula sect was indeed in decline. Only some of the younger generation were practicing martial arts. However, their aptitude was too poor. This made the elders shake their heads helplessly. They remembered the pride of the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect in the past. There was once the first half-step sage realm in the Yu state, the strongest half-step sage realm in the Yen state, and even the famous son of the devil. However, things remained the same, but the people had changed. All the pride and glory had left. Until now, they regretted their actions that day. One wrong step had led to a complete disaster. Moreover, after that incident, the old ancestor of the Grand Simplicity sect rarely came out. Perhaps he felt too ashamed to face others. "Oh, this is the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect. The heroic sect from the Battle of Heavenly King Mountain. Why are there only old men and children? It has not fallen to this state. How ironic. Hee, this is karma." When the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect was a heroic sect, they were so arrogant. Now they know the pain. At this moment, several figures appeared at the mountain gate of the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect. They smiled and looked at the declining Grand Simplicity Nebula sect. They were wearing fiery red robes, which let the people of the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect know that they were from the Fire Fox Valley. The Fire Fox Valley was also a sect in the Yen state. In the past, they were on par with the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect. However, after the Battle of Heavenly King Mountain, the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect rose and the Fire Fox Valley was naturally trampled under their feet. Chapter 3400. He was back. Today, I am here to learn from my master. Grand Change Nebula sect, send your disciples out to fight. After everyone from the Fire Fox Valley stood still, a red-haired young man laughed proudly. Hearing this, the elders of the Great Change Nebula sect clenched their fists. The Fire Fox Valley had come to humiliate them. After all, the Great Change Nebula sect did not have any rising stars. Why isn't anyone talking? A bunch of trash. The red-haired youth laughed again. Fire Fox Valley, don't go too far. The elders of the Grand Change Nebula sect shouted angrily. He couldn't stand that young man's arrogance. Elders, this is just a normal exchange of pointers between disciples. Why are you all so angry? Or do you really think of yourselves as a bunch of trash? At this time, the elder of Fire Fox Valley smiled and said slowly. The elder of Great Change Nebula sect could not refute him. This was indeed the rule of the Yen state sects. As the saying goes, there is no first place in literature, and there is no second place in martial arts. Martial artists, no matter where they go, there is no lack of sparring. Somebody come. The red-haired young man spoke again. He looked ahead with a contemptuous gaze and pointed at a person. Are you coming? The disciple immediately lowered his head. It's still you. The other disciple also lowered his head. No one dared to fight. After all, if they really fought, they would only be humiliating themselves. How could the Tai Patriarch not notice this? He hid in the sect leader's room and sighed softly. He didn't even dare to show his face because if he did, he would only be ridiculed even more. He could not help but miss the glorious days of the Grand Change Nebula sect. But in the end, he only regretted and sighed. If the Great Change Nebula sect had stood behind the son of the devil that day, perhaps the Great Change Nebula sect would still be glorious today. The Tai Patriarch knew that he had made the wrong bet. He had practiced martial arts for thousands of years, and this was probably the worst decision he had ever made. Unfortunately, no matter how powerful he was, he didn't have the ability to turn back time, and he couldn't find any medicine for regret. Fire Fox Valley. I remember a guy called Fire Fox Ichiro. Is Fire Fox Valley a bunch of guys who bully the weak and fear the strong? However, at this moment, a disdainful voice suddenly floated out. At the mountain gate, several figures slowly walked over. The person in the lead was wearing a long blue robe. His face was delicate and pretty, and his temperament was extremely otherworldly. Who do you think you are? Is it your turn to speak? The fiery red-haired young man coldly said. After he finished speaking, he immediately attacked. He wanted to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Who is it? The elder of the Fire Fox Valley sneered. That person was courting death. When they saw that the person who had arrived was of similar age to their disciple, they immediately stopped being afraid. In the Yen province, there were less than 10 people who were of similar age to the red-haired young man who were stronger than him. So, the blue-robed young man was courting death. As for the red-haired youth, he immediately used his ultimate technique. He wanted to show off his strength and win glory for the Fire Fox Valley. You're too weak. However, the blue-robed young man still strode forward, seeming to be carefree. You're not an expert if you rely on your mouth. Forget it. Since you want to stand up for the Great Change Nebula sect, I'll let you know what it means to overestimate yourself. The red-haired young man's ultimate technique exploded. Flames surged and turned into a 9-tailed fire fox. This was an 8th grade desolation body. His cultivation was at the first heaven sage realm. Even if the former genius of the Great Change Nebula sect, Zilong, and the rest were present, they would not dare to underestimate the red-haired young man. No wonder the red-haired young man was so arrogant. Rumble. A powerful attack blasted toward the blue-robed young man. It was earth-shattering. The aftermath of the attack shocked the Great Change Nebula sect. Many disciples turned pale. After witnessing the strength of the red-haired young man, they realized how big the gap was. After the attack, the red-haired young man sneered, "I'm sorry. You can only withstand one attack from me. That's all you have. Moreover, I injured the people around you. You can only blame yourself. I'm also sorry. You can only withstand one attack from me. That's all you have." However, at this moment, a calm voice drifted out. Then, in the billowing flames, a punch blasted out like a dragon's roar. Rumble. The speed was so fast that it blasted the void. The red-haired young man's face changed drastically. His opponent's punch had given him a huge pressure. It was as though he was facing a dragon. Pa! 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 The nine-tailed fire fox behind him immediately exploded. His figure was also sent flying. He glided along the ground and smashed into the ground, spitting out blood. The facts proved that he could only withstand one punch. What? The elders of the Fire Fox Valley changed their faces drastically. The Great Change Nebula sect was silent. Soon, the elders of the Great Change Nebula sect were stunned. Then, their bodies trembled with excitement. They had recognized the blue-robed young man. They had never expected that the person who appeared in front of them when the Great Change Nebula sect was at its lowest point was him. It was the man who had changed the world of the 9 regions. "I don't believe that you're more powerful than me." At this moment, the red-haired young man spat out blood. His face was extremely hideous. He had lost. He could not even withstand one punch. How could this be? He did not believe it. He would rather die than believe it. This must have been caused by his carelessness. One had to know that he was one of the top 10 geniuses in the Yen state. He was also the pride of the Fire Fox Valley. "Ningpingju, you can't. You're no match for him." At this moment, the elders of the Fire Fox Valley exclaimed. "Impossible. Elder, don't boost the morale of others and diminish your own. I, Ningpingju, am not afraid of anyone in the world. No one of my age can defeat me." The red-haired young man roared hysterically. Then, he pounced forward again. "I don't care who you are. You're not qualified to be arrogant in front of me. No, he's the son of devil." However, just as he rushed to the blue-robed young man, an anxious voice came from the elder of the Fire Fox Valley. The red-haired young man maintained his posture. However, he felt as if he had been struck by thunder. All his unwillingness and anger disappeared at this moment. The son of devil. The blue-robed young man was the son of devil? How could he not have heard of such an expert? Attack. Why don't you attack? The blue-robed young man put his hands behind his back. He looked at the red-haired young man indifferently like a martial arts grandmaster. "I was wrong. Elder, I was wrong." The red-haired young man knelt down directly and kept kowtowing. Not only did he not dare to fight, but he also looked extremely respectful. This made the disciples of the Great Change Nebula sect dumbfounded. Who was the blue-robed young man? Why was he so powerful? Just one sentence was enough to make the red-haired young man not dare to fight. "Get lost." The blue-robed young man spat out a word. "Let's go. Let's go." The people of the Fire Fox Valley said hurriedly. Their faces were extremely pale. They dragged the red-haired young man and left quickly. "I said get lost." The blue-robed young man put his hands behind his back. His tone was calm, but it carried an unquestionable majesty. Understood. The previously arrogant Fire Fox Valley experts were now rolling down the mountain gate. Chapter 3401. Heading to the Strongest World. Previously, when the experts from the Fire Fox Valley had arrived, no one in the Great Change Nebula sect could fight back. They could only grit their teeth and endure the humiliation. However, a handsome young man suddenly appeared. With a punch and a sentence, those experts from the Fire Fox Valley were like stray dogs, rolling out like gourds. So domineering. The disciples of the Grand Change Nebula sect said in admiration. This was the martial Tao that they pursued and the martial artist that they looked up to. The elders of the Grand Change Nebula sect smiled bitterly. This kind of prestige and pride should have belonged to the Grand Change Nebula sect. But now, he's back. The old ancestor of the Grand Change Nebula sect saw this scene with his own eyes. His heart was filled with bitterness. The remorse that had just weakened was now even stronger. Especially when he saw the blue-robed young man, he felt like he was in a dream. This young man was once chased by the experts of the Yen state. Now, he returned to the Yen state proudly, as if he was telling everyone in the Yen state that he was back. And the Yen state could do nothing about it. If this person was still in the Grand Change Nebula sect, what would it mean? The old ancestor of the Grand Change Nebula sect shook his head. He knew what it meant. It must mean that the Grand Change Nebula sect had become the #1 sect in the Yen state. Master. At this moment, an excited voice was heard. Only then did people see Xing Xian. The elders, especially, were all smiling. Xing Xian was back. The disciple who had escaped from the sect in the past had finally returned. Moreover, they felt that this disciple who was too ashamed to meet others had returned with pride. This was because this disciple had an even better successor. He was called the Son of the Devil. Senior Brother Xing, you're back. All the elders walked over and bowed to Xing Xian excitedly. However, they didn't treat Xing Xian like this in the past. In front of Xing Xian, they only put on the airs of a senior brother. But now, their attitude had changed. Xing Xian also noticed this. He smiled bitterly in his heart but didn't care. This was because he knew that all this was brought about by Lin Ling. Master. He looked at the sky and shouted again. Alas! An old voice came from the sky. Then, an old man walked out with a sigh. It was the Tai Yi Patriarch. At this moment, he seemed to have aged even more. His eyes looked at the constellation clouds, then landed on Lin Ling. He let out another long sigh. He realized that the reason why Lin Ling could come back today was not because of the Grand Change Nebula sect, nor was it because of him. Instead, it was because of the constellation cloud. At this moment, he was suddenly a little jealous of Xing Xiaoyun. It's good that you're back. Patriarch Tai Yi said slowly. Master. Xing Xian kowtowed to the Patriarch of Tai Yi. No matter what, the Patriarch of Tai Yi was still his master. This was an unavoidable sentiment. Yun, I haven't seen you in so many years. You're finally back. The Patriarch of Tai Yi walked forward and helped Xing Xian up. Xing Xian was excited. However, Lin Ling and the rest were indifferent. They didn't even look at the Patriarch of Tai Yi. The Patriarch of Tai Yi noticed the expressions on Lin Ling and the rest. He suddenly said expectantly, Lin Ling, are you still a disciple of the Grand Change Nebula sect? His attitude was obviously much more polite. Lin Ling looked at him and said calmly, is this important? Hearing this, the Patriarch of Tai Yi smiled bitterly and nodded. Yes, very important. In that case, I'll tell you. I'm not a disciple of the Grand Change Nebula sect. However, my master is. That's all. Lin Ling said and left with Xiao Yu and the rest. This meant that Lin Ling didn't care about the Grand Change Nebula sect at all. Everyone in the Grand Change Nebula sect smiled bitterly when they saw Lin Ling's resolute attitude. They suddenly felt that they had lost something as they watched him leave. Lin Ling held Xiao Yu's hand and left through the gate. It was as if he was sending his master back to his hometown. However, he wasn't interested in his master's hometown at all. Martial ancestor, martial ancestor. If I enter the martial ancestor realm, I'll be closer to the peak of the 9 prefectures. Lin Ling stood on a mountain peak surrounded by clouds with his hands behind his back. He looked into the distance calmly. Xiao Yu, you can walk around with Old Do and the rest. I'll stay here and cultivate. Okay, brother. After Xiao Yu and the rest left, Lin Ling sat down cross-legged and stabilized his cultivation. He wanted to enter the 5th stage of the Sage realm. He had many trump cards and they were all ancient techniques. If he used all his strength, he could even kill a 1st stage martial ancestor. As long as the ancestral force wasn't too strong, Lin Ling's physical body would be able to withstand it. This caused Lin Ling to point out that there were no absolutes in this world. Things were not always the same. Cultivation was the strongest, and other methods could also be used to make a name for themselves. I wonder what would happen if I were to give birth to the 6th Dantian. However, the strongest ultimate desolate body that I've seen so far is only a 2nd grade desolate body. If I were to obtain a 3rd grade desolate body, I'm afraid that even a Sage Realm expert would be able to fight me. In the final world, there should be many stronger ultimate desolate bodies. Lin Ling muttered to himself. He was even more curious about the final world. When I enter the martial ancestor realm, I'll be able to look for Senior Yu. Lin Ling had too many things that he hadn't done yet. Everything depended on his strength. After a long time, Xiao Yu and the rest returned. The 3 days were up. However, since Xing Shiyun rarely came back, he didn't plan to return to the spirit state. Lin Ling let him do as he pleased. After all, ordinary people wouldn't dare to provoke Xing Shiyun in the Yen state. Let's prepare to go to the final world. Lin Ling used the spacetime divine steel to traverse a large area and return to the Qing state. In the sky above the Qing state, the cold old woman stood there silently. When she sensed Lin Ling's appearance, her eyes immediately flickered. She disappeared from her spot and reappeared in front of Lin Ling. To the Miao state. She didn't speak much and was very cold. However, she was very direct. All right. Lin Ling immediately nodded. He brought Xiao Yu, Du Haing and the rest and followed the old woman. The old woman didn't reject Xiao Yu and the rest. She only strolled forward. Her speed was very fast, instantly reaching 200 world speeds. However, Lin Ling sensed that the old woman was waiting for him. Hence, he smiled and said, "Senior, you can use 300 world speeds. I can follow you." Oh. The old woman looked at Lin Ling with a strange gaze. He was only at the mid-stage of the Sage realm, but he could use 300 world speeds. There weren't many people in the Miao state with such speed. The journey to the Miao state is long. Don't use your maximum speed for a moment of pleasure. It will make you very tired. The old woman said coldly. Don't worry. I have my own score. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. When he used his full strength, he could use 500 world speeds. However, he had to use other trump cards. As for 300 world speeds, it came from his physical strength. It didn't consume any world essence. All right. Chapter 3402. Miao Prefecture's Gate of God. Lin Ling led Xiao Yu and the others forward crazily. After 3 full days, the water in front of them overflowed with popping sounds, as if it had drowned the entire universe. An ancient and huge continent was wrapped in the water, magnificent and extremely mysterious. That's Miao Prefecture, the strongest world in the 9 prefectures. However, Miao Prefecture is also connected to the world of gods, and that place is called the World Realm. The old woman explained. World realm? Huh? Lin Ling was surprised. The old woman said, yes, the 9 prefectures are divided into Qin Prefecture, Qi Prefecture, Tian Prefecture, Yun Prefecture, Spirit Prefecture, Yu Prefecture, Yan Prefecture, and Miao Prefecture. There are only 8 divine prefectures here, and the last one is the world realm. That place has the most ancient history of the 9 prefectures, and it is also where the strongest warriors in the past 10 million years have gathered. Those warriors are already half a step into the ascended god realm. If you want to become stronger, you can only go to that world. Okay. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded and led Xiao Yu and the others toward Miao Prefecture. From a distance, Miao Prefecture was obviously 10 times larger than Yan Prefecture, and because of the mysterious liquid, the strongest warriors in the 9 prefectures like to gather here. Just as Lin Ling approached the liquid, an indescribable feeling rose within him. Breakthrough. Lin Ling felt that he was about to break through. Master. Master. Young Master. Master. Looking at Xiao Yu and the others, they were also showing signs of breaking through. This Miao Prefecture is indeed extraordinary. It must be the liquid on its surface. Lin Ling couldn't help but be shocked. In the past, Li Xiaoyao also came to Miao Prefecture, but he didn't go deep, only passing through. Moreover, compared to the past, Miao Prefecture was even more mysterious. In the end, it should be caused by the 4 great gods. You guys break through here. After you break through, we'll go in. The old woman said indifferently, standing not far away. Lin Ling and the others immediately nodded and sat down cross-legged in the void. Rumble. As soon as he sat down, the sage's tribulation arrived. First was the sage's tribulation of the broken sword, followed by the afterimages. From time to time, powerhouses entered and exited Miao Prefecture. They glanced at Lin Ling, but their expressions were extremely calm. It was obvious that in a place like Miao Prefecture, a Saint Realm cultivator was as ordinary as a passerby. They simply couldn't enter their eyes. It should be your first time coming to the Miao Province. The water of the Miao Province is absolutely helpful to a martial artist and can increase their cultivation. But the next time, the effect will be reduced by half. Maybe he's from some rural area, but to be recognized by Miaozhou, he should have some ability. With so many years of history in the Miao Prefecture, the experts here have long established their own rules. It is difficult for outsiders to gain a foothold here. Those experts said indifferently. Their auras were extremely terrifying. They were all at the martial ancestor realm and possessed the ultimate desolate body. In Miaozhou, one's realm was no longer the most important thing. The ultimate desolate body was what mattered the most. The old woman remained expressionless, but suddenly, her eyes changed. That was because Lin Ling Sage's tribulation had arrived. Furthermore, it was so powerful that it exceeded her imagination. 3 flowers bloom and the power of the universe surges. It's actually the Nirvana Sage's tribulation. The old woman muttered to herself. From this, it could be seen how big the gap between Lin Ling and ordinary sages was. Others could not see the secrets hidden in the lightning, but the old woman could. She could clearly see that in the universe, 3 lightning flowers formed by the power of the gods had appeared. And according to legend, those who possessed the ultimate desolate body would produce a lightning flower. Lord Lei Gong is indeed perceptive. This child is indeed extraordinary. The old woman's eyes flickered. Following that, she saw that Lin Ling had successfully withstood the sage's tribulation. Furthermore, a power that was different from ordinary sages emanated from him. How is this possible? He is only at the 5th stage of the Saint Realm, but his realm essence is so dense that it gives me the feeling of a 10th stage saint. This child is probably hiding something. The shock in the old woman's heart grew stronger. How could she know that Lin Ling's 5 Dantians had entered the 5th stage of the Saint Realm? How could his realm essence be weak? Moreover, it was Lin Ling's first time in Miao Prefecture. The water in Miao Prefecture continuously provided spiritual energy, so Lin Ling did not lack cultivation resources in the short term and could smoothly break through. Boom! After a long time, 3 explosions sounded at the same time. In the void, Lin Ling and the other 2 walked back with smiles on their faces. They had successfully entered a new realm. TSK, I've been stuck at the middle stage of the Saint Realm for many years. I didn't expect that by following the young master, I would break through 2 realms in such a short period of time. Zhang Ying was the most excited. If he did not follow Lin Ling, he would need at least 1,000 years to break through. Zhang Ying was also extremely excited. It was Lin Ling who had changed everything for him. If it was not for Lord Lin Ling, he would still be a slave in the arena. Perhaps he would have died. He broke through. After Lin Ling walked back, the old woman said lightly. That's right. I never expected to break through so smoothly. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. His breakthrough was not simple. His combat strength had increased exponentially. Furthermore, he had a feeling that the spacetime divine steel was advancing towards the second-grade ultimate desolate body. Miao Prefecture was indeed magical. Lin Ling had just arrived, but he had improved so much. Let's go. The old woman said lightly. As for Lin Ling, he strode forward and held Xiaoyu's hand as they walked towards Miao Prefecture. A water curtain door began to appear in front of them. The door was extremely vast. On both sides of the door, there were water ripples that rumbled. This door was called Miao Prefecture's Divine Door. Under the Divine Door, a large number of guards stood there silently as they watched the warriors enter Miao Prefecture. Just like the Yen State, Miao Prefecture was not a place ordinary people could enter. There were certain conditions. Everyone, entering Miao Prefecture is 100 million royal crystals per person. Just as Lin Ling and company arrived at the door, the guard said coldly. Their cultivation levels were at the peak of the Sage Realm. Furthermore, they had the aura of an ultimate desolate body. They did not look like guards, but more like ambitious people. 100 million royal crystals. That was probably enough to nurture a martial ancestor. Lin Ling's expression immediately changed. He said with a frown, "We are qualified to enter." "We know. Since you are here, you must have been invited. However, an invitation is an invitation. 100 million royal crystals is still not enough," the guard said with a deadpan expression. At that moment, more than a dozen figures strode through the divine door. On careful look, the ones leading the group were a man and a woman. Their bearing was extraordinary, as though they were the children of God. And when they entered the divine door, they did not even look at the guards. They were full of arrogance. "Why aren't they using royal crystals?" Lin Ling immediately asked. "Ha!" Chapter 3403. You're still alive. Nobles again. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. In Yan province, there was also a distinction between the nobles and the lowly. He didn't expect that there would be one in Miaozhou as well. Whether it was in terms of attire or aura, Lin Ling's group couldn't compare to the Viscount Mansion's people. It was no wonder that the guards looked down on Lin Ling's group. Rumble. At this time, a thunderous roar came from the void. One could see an armored dragon god pulling a magnificent palace towards the Miao Prefecture's divine gate. Iron armored dragon god. Lin Ling narrowed his eyes. As a true dragon god, he could naturally perceive the strength of the iron armored dragon god. However, the iron armored dragon god did not possess the orthodox bloodline of the dragon clan. Like the dragon demon, it was only a half-dragon god bloodline. Rumble. However, what surprised Lin Ling was that the dragon god was pulling the palace towards them. This made Lin Ling frown. Although the iron-armored dragon god was a subspecies, it could not be underestimated. Few people in the Sage realm could stop it. The guard in front of Lin Ling had a change in expression. He retreated and angrily shouted at Lin Ling's group, "That's the Duke's Mansion's young Master Kong. Hurry up and get out of the way. Don't block young Master Kong from entering Miaozhou." Lin Ling had never imagined that while he had to pay to enter Miaozhou, not only did others not pay, they were even allowed to barge in. Moreover, that young Master Kong might not be too arrogant. He clearly saw that they were here, but he still dared to barge in. It's just the iron-armored dragon god. In front of a real dragon god like me, it's nothing. Lin Ling shouted in his heart. When the guards saw that Lin Ling didn't move, they were too lazy to speak any more nonsense. These people didn't know any better, so they would just let them die. The gorgeous palace was still facing downwards. The window at the side of the palace was opened, revealing the face of a young man. He saw Lin Ling and the others and shook his head. Not only did he not stop the iron-armored dragon god, he even sped up. In his opinion, those people were blind. They clearly knew that he wanted to return to Miaozhou, yet they still dared to block his way. Rumble. The iron-armored dragon god was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling, causing Do Afterimage and the others' expressions to turn grave. However, thinking that Lin Ling was a real dragon god, he definitely had a way to deal with the iron-armored dragon god. Therefore, they stood quietly beside Lin Ling. Just as Lin Ling was about to make his move, a figure appeared in front of the iron-armored dragon god and gently struck out with her palm. It was the mysterious old woman. Ka ka ka. This palm seemed calm, but it was mixed with a terrifying power. When the armored dragon god collided with the palm, a deafening sound rang out. The huge armored dragon god was blocked by the palm, and cracks appeared on its armor, making it difficult for it to advance even an inch further. The palace behind the iron-armored dragon god was forcefully blocked, causing a large number of people to fly out of the palace. It was extremely embarrassing. Boom! A moment later, the huge iron-armored dragon god exploded. Dragon bones sputtered in all directions. It was deader than dead. This sudden change surprised Lin Ling. He did not expect the old woman to be so strong. The eyes of the guards trembled fiercely. It's over, it's over. Someone actually dared to provoke the young master of the Duke's mansion under the holy gate of Miaozhou. They're dead meat. Who is so bold? At the same time, a young man in a golden robe walked out of the palace. His expression was extremely ugly. Someone had killed his mount under the holy gate of Miaozhou. His gaze immediately fell on Lin Ling and the others. He said coldly, "How dare you? Men, cut off their limbs and cripple their cultivation." "Yes, young master." A large number of guards around the palace returned. These people were extremely powerful, and many of them were in the martial ancestor realm. Even the martial ancestor realm was a guard. This showed how terrifying the Duke's mansion was. They stared coldly at Lin Ling and the others. Then, they immediately attacked. Their methods were extremely cruel. They wanted to cripple Lin Ling and the others' dantian and limbs. To them, they were martial ancestors. They would be prominent existences anywhere in the 9 continents. These lowly commoners dared to ruin their plans. They would not be satisfied if they did not cripple them. Old Du, watch Xiao Yu. Although Lin Ling had just arrived at Miaozhou and did not want to cause any trouble, the old woman had crippled someone's mount. Therefore, he could not take action. However, there were many martial ancestors on the other side. Unless he used the Dragon Ball, Lin Ling would have to fuse his innate talents. However, as soon as Lin Ling took a step forward, the old woman's hands danced with a mysterious rhythm. Her hands bloomed like flower petals, but they were also like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. The powerful guards immediately rushed over. However, under the old woman's hands, a sudden change occurred. Bang bang bang. Their arms were all severed. Bang bang bang. Next, their legs were all severed. Bang bang bang. Following this, they spat out mouthfuls of blood as their dantian collapsed, as if they had just received a powerful attack. The old woman had defeated the martial ancestor realm guards as easily as chopping vegetables. Even Lin Ling was astounded. If it were him, he would definitely use his trump card. Although he could still win, it would be extremely difficult. My hand. No, my cultivation, my cultivation. I've become a cripple. The guards were not dead. They were only crippled. The old woman had crippled them just like how they had crippled the others. On the other hand, the young man stood there silently while the arrogance on his face had silently transformed into terror and panic. Because he knew how strong his guards were, yet they'd been annihilated without anyone noticing. This obviously showed how terrifying the old woman was. Meanwhile, the old woman approached the young man in the golden robe with an expressionless face. The young man in the golden robe did not dare to move. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. However, as death approached, he could not help but exclaim, "You dare to harm me? My father is a duke, a mid-stage martial progenitor realm expert. He is also good friends with one of the top 10 martial gods of the 9 continents, the martial god 10 extremities. There was a martial progenitor realm expert who tried to harm me, and his entire clan was killed." What he said was the truth. Furthermore, the expert whose clan was killed was also from the Miao continent. In other words, it was not difficult for the Duke's mansion to eliminate any of the divine prefectures. However, the martial gods had a rule that the people of the Miao continent were not allowed to go to the 9 continents unless it was a matter of life and death. As a result, the experts of the Miao continent were restrained. "Don't dare to harm you." The old woman remained expressionless. Her arm was emitting a murderous aura as she swung it gently like the scythe of the god of death. Meanwhile, the young man in the golden robe was already terrified by the old woman's ruthlessness. His figure shuddered as he let out a scream after seeing her move. Following this, he fell to the ground with a thump. His golden robe was filled with the smell of urine. Furthermore, urine kept dripping out from his robe. This guy had wet his pants. "You're not dead yet." The old woman calmly spoke, causing the young man in the golden robe to come to his senses. He touched his neck and realized that his head was still there, but his hair had been chopped off, turning him into a bald head. A breeze blew past, causing him to feel cold. Chapter 3404. Miao Prefecture. However, the golden-robed young man couldn't care less as he stared at the old woman in fear. His bald head was drenched in cold sweat. As expected of the Duke's mansion's young master, he had seen a lot of peak experts. His intuition told him that the old woman was very strong, extremely strong. "I'll spare your life this time. If you dare to provoke him again, it won't be your hair that will be cut off, but your bones, flesh, and blood." The old woman said coldly. The golden-robed young man nodded repeatedly, "Yes, yes, yes." Then, the old woman walked towards Lin Ling and asked indifferently, "Are you all right?" Lin Ling was still shocked by the old woman's strength, but he nodded and said, "I'm fine." "Then, let's enter Miao Prefecture." The old woman looked at the Miao Prefecture's Gate of God while Lin Ling looked at the guards and suddenly asked, "You guys still want 100 million Emperor crystals?" Plop. The guards all knelt down with pale faces. The old woman dared to kill the Duke's mansion's people, she wouldn't even bat an eyelid if she killed them. "We don't dare, we don't dare, we don't dare. Young master, Lord, spare our lives." In their panic, they called Lin Ling Lord. Lin Ling nodded and said again, "Are we lowly commoners?" No, you guys are God's nobles, God's knights, God's guards." The guards waved their hands as if they were afraid that they would be killed if they said the wrong thing. "If I'm God's nobles, then what about them?" Lin Ling asked again. The guards looked at the young man in the golden robe who was scared silly. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. After all, the Duke's mansion wasn't something they could provoke. But at this time, the old woman's cold eyes looked over. Beep, beep, beep. The guards were so scared that their hearts were about to jump out of their chests. One of them even had the sound of water dripping from his pants. This guy was so scared that he peed his pants. He's a lowly commoner, a big lowly commoner. The bodyguards clenched their teeth and said. They were almost crying. Although they couldn't provoke the old woman, they couldn't provoke the Duke's mansion either. They knew that they would be in big trouble tomorrow. What about you guys? Lin Ling asked again. We are just dogs. The guards were stunned for a moment before they cried out. Lin Ling nodded, glanced at the old woman, and then entered the gate of God in the Miao region. Watching Lin Ling and the others leave, the guards still didn't dare to speak. They knelt there until Lin Ling and the others had completely disappeared. Then one of them opened his mouth and said, "Should we inform the Duke's mansion about this matter?" As soon as he said this, all the guards reacted and said fiercely, "Of course, we must inform him. Damned lowlife, if it wasn't for that old woman's strength, I would have killed him long ago. However, we don't need to inform the Duke's mansion. Didn't you see young Master Kong? He would definitely find those lowly commoners. Let's wait and see." The guards lost all face today, so they angrily said. At this moment, Lin Ling and the others had already arrived at the Miao region. After passing through the thick water curtain, a fresh smell hit their faces. In the Miao region, Lin Ling felt that his cultivation speed had increased by more than 10 times. If he hadn't just broken through, he would have broken through again at this moment. The final world. Lin Ling gazed into the distance. This land was extremely mysterious. It was shrouded in divine light and looked ancient. No wonder the martial artists of this continent are so arrogant. It turns out that the cultivation speed in the Miao region is so fast. After a long time, they also have the mentality of being superior to others. Lin Ling lightly said, then smiled at the old woman. The old woman seemed to know what Lin Ling wanted to ask, so she nodded and said, "Don't worry about those people from before. It's only the Duke's mansion." Although it was just a simple sentence, it carried a domineering aura. Although Lin Ling didn't know the old woman's background, she was so unrestrained. She must have something to rely on, so Lin Ling wasn't worried. "Senior, where are we going next?" Lin Ling asked again. The old woman was expressionless. She just walked in front, and after walking for a while, she said, "Just follow me." Lin Ling was speechless. He knew that Lei Gong wanted to see him, but at least tell him who Lei Gong was and where they were going after coming to the Miao region. However, the old woman didn't say anything. She just let Lin Ling and the others follow. Not long after, a huge city began to appear in front of them. It looked ordinary, but its aura was extremely ancient. Lin Ling's 10,000 elephant devil eyes sensed that these cities and the land hid countless ancient secrets. There were more and more mysteries than the Yan region. Perhaps, the Miao region was ranked second among the oldest in the 9 regions. The final world has 72 sub-cities and 36 main cities. Ordinary people can only go to the 72 sub-cities and then report their names to be recorded in the final world. However, we don't need to do that. The destination of this trip is a main city called Snow City. At this time, the old woman who had been silent all this time said. "Okay." Lin Ling nodded. Did he have a choice? Since the old woman let him follow, Lin Ling just had to follow. Xiao Yu was playing on the grass, picking flowers and chasing little white rabbits. She was extremely happy. Do Ying and Broken Sword followed her, afraid that something would happen to her. But in fact, if something really happened in the Miao region, Do Ying and Broken Sword wouldn't be able to solve it with their strength. Rumble. While Xiao Yu was playing, a rumbling sound came from not far away. If one looked carefully, one could see a small mountain moving on the ground. It seemed to be moving slowly, but in the blink of an eye, it passed by Lin Ling and the others. It was a gigantic black tortoise. Its limbs were as thick as pillars, and its shell was covered in moss. It had probably been there for a very, very long time. On the moss sat a white-haired old man. He glanced at Lin Ling and the others, then closed his eyes again and allowed the black tortoise to move forward. What a huge tortoise! After the black tortoise left, Xiao Yu said in surprise. Her big eyes were filled with excitement and curiosity. However, Lin Ling was more surprised than her. That was because he realized that the old man's upper body was like a human's, but his lower body was connected to the tortoise shell. That's the seed of gods, which is also a type of divine beast called the Xian tortoise tribe. That person's strength is in the range of a mid-stage martial ancestor, but he has the ultimate desolate body. At this time, the old woman said calmly. Seed of gods. Lin Ling felt as if his horizons had been broadened. That black tortoise was definitely very, very powerful. The group continued forward. Soon, a magnificent ancient city appeared in front of them. This city was built with mottled yellow bricks. It did not look gorgeous, but it was very ancient, very ancient. Furthermore, this city was even bigger than the previous one. The city gates were wide open, as if they were welcoming any warrior to enter. The old woman did not stop and took the lead to enter the ancient city. This should be the main city. Chapter 3405. Money makes the world go round. Everything in the city looked very ordinary. If not for the powerful passers-by, Lin Ling would have thought that he had arrived at an ordinary ancient city. Most of the people in the city were in the late stages of the Sage Realm and Martial Ancestor Realm. Lin Ling and company were considered to be the ones with the lowest realms. Most importantly, Lin Ling could clearly sense that many people possessed the ultimate desolate body. If such people were placed in other divine continents, they would be indomitable existences. The gods have rules. Those who go to Miao Prefecture are not allowed to enter other divine continents unless there is a life and death feud. Even if they go there, they are not allowed to wreak havoc. If they go overboard, they will be punished by the sacred Knights of God. At that moment, the old woman explained. Lin Ling immediately came to a realization. No wonder it was rare to see people with the ultimate desolate body in other divine continents. So that was the reason. Even if there were, those people would probably keep a low profile in consideration of the gods' rules. Miao Prefecture is under the jurisdiction of the gods. No matter how strong a warrior is, they would not dare to act recklessly here. However, you have to be careful of some experts in Miao Prefecture. Even if they are passers-by and seem to keep a low profile, their strength might be at the peak of the martial ancestor realm. The old woman added. It was no wonder that Miao Prefecture seemed to be more orderly than other places. That was because there were gods here. Killing and robbing were not something that could be done openly. We're here. At that moment, the old woman stopped outside an inn. The inn looked very ordinary, but Lin Ling knew that the more low profile it was, the more powerful it could be. Go in and rest. The old woman said to Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded and walked into the inn. Just as he entered, the aroma of meat wafted over, causing Lin Ling and company to have their appetites whetted. Especially Xiao Yu, her big eyes were smiling like crescent moons. It had to be said that after following Lin Ling, Xiao Yu had not learned anything. Instead, she had become a little glutton. Looking at the first floor of the inn, it was packed with people. Warriors were chatting and laughing in groups of 2s and 3s. Let's go to the second floor. Lin Ling smiled and held Xiao Yu's hand as they walked up the stairs. Sir, the second floor is only for nobles. However, at this moment, a young man stopped Lin Ling and the others with a smile on his face. This person was unexpectedly at the late stage of the sage realm. But, he was only here to serve. This was simply incomprehensible. However, Lin Ling sensed that although this person's realm was high, he did not have an ultimate desolate body. Nobles again. Then, Lin Ling frowned. However, the old woman took a step forward and handed over a small brocade pouch. She said, "There are 8,000 emperor crystals here. Is that enough?" The young man was stunned and quickly nodded. "Enough, enough. Nobles, please go to the second floor." His back was bent like a pug. 8,000 emperor crystals wasn't a small sum. Most importantly, it could be obtained in the blink of an eye. No wonder that young man was so happy. Even Lin Ling looked at the old woman in surprise. He never thought that the old woman would be so forthright for him. As for Lin Ling and company, they went up to the second floor. The waiter also found a quiet place for Lin Ling and company. Indeed, money made the world go round. "Sir, what would you like to eat?" After the waiter received the money, he treated Lin Ling and company like they were his ancestors. Lin Ling smiled. He had always been curious about the old woman and now was the perfect time to test it out. He nodded and said, "Bring out all the good dishes and wine you have. I want 8 types of wine that have been fermented for more than 1,000 years. I want more than 10 dishes. I want the signature dishes. So much." The waiter was alarmed. Could these few people finish it all? Furthermore, all they wanted were expensive items. These people were too forthright. "All right, hurry up." However, the old woman had already spoken. This made the waiter extremely happy as he ran down the second floor. Before he reached the second floor, he shouted, "Bring out the inn's best wine and signature dishes. I want as many as you have." His voice spread throughout the inn, causing many people to be shocked because they knew how expensive these dishes were. This meant that there were some truly forthright aristocrats on the second floor. Lin Ling was even more surprised at this moment. The old woman's attitude seemed to have changed for the better. She was simply fulfilling all his requests. Soon, the dishes were brought out. They were served faster than the others. This meant that it was different with money. "Young masters, this is the Miao Spring Divine Wine brewed with the water of Miao Province. It has a history of 8,000 years. Not only is it fragrant, it can also stabilize one's cultivation. This is one of the 9 continents' 7 great forbidden lands, the fragrant whale of the Kaiyuan River. This whale's meat is the most delicious and is called one of the 9 continents' 10 great delicacies. Sir, please enjoy your meal." It had to be said that Miao Province was the final world. Everything here was at the top of the 9 continents. Of course, only the true aristocrats could afford it. Because of this, many other professions were born, such as hunters and so on. "Okay, you can leave now," the old woman said indifferently at this moment. Lin Ling and the others had already started eating. After drinking a mouthful of wine, they all clicked their tongues in amazement. When they took a bite of the meat, they were even more surprised by the deliciousness of the meat. Even Xiao Yu's mouth was full of oil. Lin Ling poured a small cup of wine for her to taste this 8,000-year-old wine. "Young master, Xiao Yu is about to become a little drunkard because of you." Seeing this, Do Afterimage immediately laughed. Lin Ling also laughed. Not to mention other things, just the fragrance of today's wine and meat was enough to make this trip to Miao Province worth it. After all, Lin Ling was a person who loved wine. Naturally, he would not miss out on good wine. Meanwhile, the old woman was eating by herself. She expressionlessly looked at Lin Ling and the others talking and laughing. After a while, she left behind a large amount of emperor crystals and said, "I'm going to find someone. I'll be back in about an hour. I've already left the money. Wait for me to come back." "Go on, senior." Lin Ling waved his hand. He was completely at ease with the old woman. After all, if she wanted to harm him, there was no need for her to go through so much trouble. While Lin Ling and the others were eating heartily, in the Duke's mansion in the distant Shanha city, a bald young man wearing a golden robe that reeked of urine shouted at a middle-aged man, "Father, you have to stand up for me. Those people almost killed me. Moreover, they killed my mount. They are too arrogant. I want to cripple them." "Calm, don't be so agitated," the middle-aged man said coldly. He looked at the people in the hall and said, "Did you find out the origins of that group of people?" Replying to the Duke, "Those people are not from Yao province. It's their first time here. We found out that they went to Snow-Blowing City." An expert immediately replied. "How dare they? Inform everyone in the Duke's mansion that all the ultimate desolate body users are to move out and head to Snow-Blowing City." The middle-aged man stood up. "Sir, Snow-Blowing City is the main city. We have to be careful." Someone reminded him. "It's fine. I've met the city lord of Snow-Blowing City a few times. He will give me face. They are just a few country bumpkins. Why should I be afraid of them? Let's go." Chapter 3406. Besieging. At this moment, the old woman was walking in Snow City. She looked ahead calmly as if she was familiar with everything. "It's been many years since I last saw Junior Brother," the old woman muttered to herself. Not long after, she appeared in front of the gate of a bustling mansion. This mansion occupied a large area, and there were stone beasts guarding the gate. They looked majestic, but these stone beasts seemed to be motionless, but they were actually living creatures with endless lifespans. There were actually two divine beasts. Looking inside the mansion, the tallest building in Snow City was built here. It was obvious that the mansion was extraordinary. The governor's mansion. Above the gate, there was a magnificent plaque. In addition to the 3 words, there were also drawings of the divine dragon, Qilin, and Phoenix. However, if an expert was here, he would realize that the divine dragon, Qilin, and Phoenix were all real. It was as if they were drawn with the blood of divine beasts. "Your Excellency, what brings you to the governor's mansion?" There were a few guards at the gate. They were all martial ancestors and had first-grade ultimate desolate bodies. With such strength, they would be respected anywhere in the 9 states. However, when the guards saw the old woman, they did not dare to act arrogantly. Perhaps, they could sense that the old woman was extraordinary. "Is Tsang Chiri here?" the old woman asked calmly. Hearing this, the guards were surprised. Tsang Chiri was their lord. However, in Snow City, no one dared to call him by his name. "May I know who you are?" The guards immediately became respectful. Obviously, they knew that this was the governor's mansion. However, they still dared to call him by his name. This showed that the old woman had something to rely on. "You don't need to know that. Lead the way," the old woman said expressionlessly. "Well, the governor has just left. Therefore, we don't dare to bring you into the mansion." A guard bowed and said. The old woman frowned. "Not here." It seemed that she had come at the wrong time. Then, a jade pendant appeared in her hand. It was a green jade pendant. She said lightly, "If Tsang Chiri comes back, tell him to come to an inn in the south of Snow City. It's called Beautiful Cloud Inn. Give this jade pendant to him. Remember, if he's late for even a moment and something happens to him, he will bear the consequences." Ah! The faces of the guards changed dramatically. This old woman's tone was very big. Would the city lord believe her? "You don't need to ask anything. I won't tell you my name. You just need to give the jade token to Tsang Chiri." The old woman turned around and left, still cold and emotionless. How is that possible? She can't be a liar, right? After the old woman left, the guards started chatting. If she's a swindler and we tell the city lord, he'll definitely punish us. But if she's not a swindler and really has something urgent to tell the city lord and we miss it, then things will be even more troublesome. That's right. When Milord returns, we'd better pass the jade token to him. Soon after, the guards didn't dare to be careless because they knew that in this final world, there were as many experts as there were clouds. Moreover, because this was the world of gods, the waters were very deep. An ordinary passerby might be a holy knight of God. This was not someone they could provoke. Then, they looked at the jade token in their hands and could only vaguely see the word, thunder. Lay. In the 9 prefectures, there were countless people related to thunder. At that moment, they couldn't figure out what the word, thunder, represented. At that moment, the inn was still bustling with noise and excitement. However, half a day later, a large number of people stepped into the inn. Their auras were extremely cold. The inn suddenly fell silent. Many people realized that this group of people were not weak. Not only were they martial ancestors, they even seemed to have the ultimate desolate body. In the Miao prefecture, martial ancestor realm experts were not rare. However, martial ancestor realm experts with the ultimate desolate body were rare. They were all recruited by large factions. Milord, they're here. They're on the 2nd floor. One of them pointed to the 2nd floor and said, "Let's go up." The middle-aged man leading the group coldly nodded his head with his hands behind his back. Beside him was a bald youth in a golden robe. He seemed very excited at that moment. "Milords, what's the matter?" The owner of the inn immediately walked out. To be able to open an inn in Miao prefecture, he naturally had some ability. This was a bearded man. He had a smile on his face and gave off a good impression. However, his cultivation was at the 3rd level martial ancestor realm and he also had the 1st grade ultimate desolate body. Scram! However, facing the owner of the inn, the middle-aged man only shouted coldly. The bearded man immediately narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to say something, the middle-aged man spoke first. "I'm the Duke of Gale Sub-City. My surname is Kong. If you have any dissatisfaction, go to Gale Sub-City to speak. Of course, you can also tell your city lord. However, your city lord and I have met a few times. Although we're not familiar with each other, I'm sure he'll give me some face." What? The inn immediately went into an uproar. The city lord was the #1 lord of Blizzard City. In the 9 prefectures, the god emperors of the various divine prefectures could not be compared to the city lord. Furthermore, being able to become the city lord of Miao prefecture's 36 main cities explained everything. Not to mention knowing the city lord, it was already a great opportunity for an ordinary person to meet the city lord. However, this middle-aged man actually knew the city lord. Although the city lord might not care about the middle-aged man, just the fact that he knew the city lord was a great identity. "Sir, I apologize for my previous offense." The bearded man immediately bowed. So what if he was a martial ancestor? In front of the city lord, he was actually an ant. At least you know what's good for you. Before the middle-aged man could speak, the golden-robed bald youth beside him laughed proudly. His father was indeed powerful. Even if he was not in his own territory, in Blizzard City, he could still do whatever he wanted. "Let's go to the 2nd floor." The middle-aged man's face was expressionless, as if he was already used to such respectful gazes. He led his men to the 2nd floor. "Surround the inn. Don't let even a fly escape." A cold voice echoed in the inn. As soon as they reached the 2nd floor, the golden-robed youth recognized Lin Ling and the others. He let out a sharp voice, "Father, it's them. One of them is not here. He must have run away." The guests on the 2nd floor were furious. However, after seeing the ferocious people coming, they all fell silent. In the end, although the world seemed to be more orderly, in the end, the strong were still respected. It was just that they were not so naked. For example, those who were close to the gods were overlords in Miao Prefecture. As for the group in front of them, even if they had never seen the gods, they more or less had some relationship with them. Otherwise, they would not dare to be so arrogant. At this moment, Lin Ling and the others were still eating and drinking. After the golden-robed youth arrived, their expressions changed. However, after realizing that they were surrounded, they were helpless. Lin Ling's eyes were cold as he constantly analyzed the strength of those experts. In the end, he came to the conclusion that this group of people was much stronger than the group of experts who went to Qing Prefecture not long ago. Chapter 3407. The martial ancestors attacked with all their might. This group of people all possessed the ultimate desolate body. If they were to clash head-on, it would be a thankless task. However, Lin Ling still had a sliver of hope. That was to capture the useless golden-robed youth. You still dare to appear in front of me? Did your hair grow out again? You have to know that this time, it might not be your hair that was cut off. Lin Ling said lightly. Upon hearing this, the people from the Duke's residence were stunned. This youth was still so arrogant even at death's door. Father, capture them. I want to cripple their limbs and cultivation. They will be my slaves for the rest of their lives. The golden-robed youth was enraged as he roared. Capture them. The middle-aged man nodded coldly. He thought they were some impressive existences, but they were just trash at the sage realm. Yes, my lord. The experts immediately nodded coldly as they released their powerful strength. Following that, they attacked Lin Ling. They were at the martial ancestor realm and had the ultimate desolate body. This was not something Lin Ling and company could withstand. Other than Lin Ling, Du Ying and company could not resist at all. As for Lin Ling, he needed to use the dragon pearl and fuse it with his talent. Only by taking advantage of the opponent's underestimation could he capture the golden-robed youth alive. However, just as he was thinking quickly, the entire inn began to shake. There was a thunderous roar as if a huge snake was shaking the inn. The snake transformed into a black beam of light and shot in through the window. Black lightning bloomed as if the aura of death had arrived. Rumble. The experts near Lin Ling were all sent flying by a powerful force. At the same time, an old woman appeared coldly beside Lin Ling. The old woman had returned. The golden-robed youth stared at the old woman and immediately exclaimed, "Father, it's her. It's her. She shaved my hair and made me bald. She even scared me so much that I peed my pants. Yes. It's you. Who are you?" Yes. The middle-aged man looked at the old woman. However, the old woman did not say a word. Black gas emanated from her body as lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, forming the phantom image of a black lightning snake. The moment the lightning snake appeared, its aura was extremely massive. It was definitely above a second-grade ultimate desolate body. After the lightning snakes appeared, the old woman didn't waste any time. Her brows twitched, and the black lightning bolts shot forward. "You're courting death. Kill him." The expert from the Duke's residence also roared as he unleashed his ultimate desolate physique. Numerous ultimate techniques left behind from the era of gods were mixed with dense ancestral energy as they blasted out. But the black lightning snake was like a surging river that circled around the inn. When the ancestral power rushed into the black river, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, vanishing without a trace. So strong. The experts inhaled deeply. They were all second-layer and third-layer martial progenitors, not to mention that they all possessed the ultimate desolated flesh, but they still failed to defeat the black thunderous serpent. The black lightning snake started to move again. Its speed reached 600 world speed and instantly coiled around a strong cultivator. Then, it started to shrink. That expert began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. Help! Just as he let out a cry, he was deader than dead. Lord under heaven! The eyes of the experts at the side narrowed. However, the black thunderous serpent immediately slithered towards them and coiled around 3 of them. Mysterious lightning exploded, causing the 3 of them to wither. In a single exchange, for martial progenitors had fallen. A terrifying atmosphere quietly spread through the entire inn. However, the middle-aged man from the Duke's residence remained motionless. His expression was extremely cold. How dare you kill people from the Duke's residence? I don't care who you are. If I don't cripple you today, my surname is not Kong. Although he was surprised by the old woman's strength, he was a duke with a noble status in the Miao prefecture. He knew many ancient experts, so he had nothing to fear. In his opinion, the people in front of him only had some strength. In the Miao prefecture, unless your strength was heaven-defying, even a dragon would have to obediently lie down. What a joke! If I don't kill them, should I wait for them to kill me? The old woman didn't speak, but Lin Ling sneered and said. These experts from the Miao prefecture thought they were the strongest in the final world, so they didn't put anyone in their eyes. Only the government was allowed to set fire, but not the common people. Father, look at how arrogant he is. You must cripple him. The golden-robed young man gnashed his teeth and roared. The calmer Lin Ling was, the more uncomfortable he felt. I don't care what method you use. Even if all of you move, you must subdue them. If anything happens, I will take responsibility. The middle-aged man shouted. Lord, that old woman's strength is extraordinary. I can't see her cultivation level or talent. I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with her. Don't be afraid of her. She's only one person. Let's attack the others. Let's see how she'll block them. The experts from the Duke's residence sneered. The old woman was indeed powerful, but how powerful could Lin Ling and the others be? Moreover, Lin Ling had a child with him. Full power. All the experts made their moves. Whoosh! Demonic plants immediately grew out of the inn. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, turning the inn into a primeval forest. These were underworld plants. Clearly, this was one of the 100 great bloodlines. The most important one was a second-grade ultimate desolate body. The moment the plants appeared, a blood-colored river flowed out. It gave off a terrifying pressure, as if it was a blood god from the era of gods. This was a blood calamity, a powerful martial ancestor expert. His talent came from the Kaiyuan River, one of the 7 forbidden lands of the 9 prefectures. A talent obtained from a forbidden land was naturally extraordinary. The inn instantly became chaotic. The guests were all frightened, but they were all fine. This also showed how powerful the martial ancestor from the Duke's residence was. He controlled the power of ancestors to the point of perfection. And all the power simultaneously blasted towards Xiaoyu. It was obvious that they were targeting the weakest among them. The old woman's expression changed. She never expected these people to be so despicable. At the critical moment, she appeared in front of Xiaoyu. A black lightning snake slithered and blocked all the attacks. So powerful. The middle-aged man instantly frowned. With so many of them joining forces and a sneak attack, the old woman was still able to block them. Her strength was probably stronger than his. This caused him to be both shocked and enraged. All of you be careful. The old woman said to Lin Ling and company. Lin Ling immediately nodded. However, at this moment, one of the experts attacked Lin Ling. That expert wanted to see how many people the old woman could save. Seeing this, Lin Ling also prepared to use his trump card. However, at this moment, the old woman said in a cold voice, if he loses a single hair, your duke's residence will be completely destroyed. Ha ha ha, are you trying to threaten me? I, Kongjue, have never known the word fear since I was young. Therefore, I hope that you can let me know the taste of fear. I will cripple all of you and bring you back to our sub-city. I will make you slaves for all eternity." The middle-aged man snorted disdainfully. As for the golden-robed youth, he became excited. Was his father going to attack? Chapter 3408. City Governor. Rumble. The aura that erupted from the inn became more and more terrifying. What was shocking was that the inn was actually safe and sound despite such a powerful force and aura eruption. However, such an aura was also noticed by many experts in Snow-Blowing City. What a powerful lightning power. It seems that one person is blocking the attacks of many people. An expert muttered to himself. In the city governor's mansion, a burly man was walking slowly with a large number of guards. However, he suddenly stopped and looked in the direction of the inn. Someone is fighting in Snow-Blowing City. And the number of people involved is not small. It can be considered the most intense battle in the past 6 months. The power of lightning seems a little familiar. The man frowned. "My lord, you're back." At this time, the guards at the gate saluted and the man nodded. "My lord, an old woman said she wanted to see you. She threatened that if you were late, you would bear all the responsibility." A guard said respectfully. So arrogant." The man laughed disdainfully. He didn't care at all. However, at this time, the guard also handed over a jade token. When the man saw it, his face instantly changed. "Who gave you this jade token?" His voice was obviously anxious. The guards were shocked and quickly said, "It's that old woman. Could it be that senior sister is here?" The man frowned and then shouted angrily, "Why didn't you say this earlier? Where is that old woman now?" Beautiful Cloud Inn. The guards were so scared that they quickly knelt down on one knee. Beautiful Cloud Inn. The man's eyes flickered. Suddenly, he thought of the previous battle and became furious. "Bastard, why didn't you say this earlier? You almost ruined my big plan. Wait for me to come back and teach you a lesson. Heavenly Ruin Divine Wolf." He roared at the sky. Suddenly, the entire city shook. A large number of giant black wolves jumped out from the ground and the sky. They were majestic like the beasts of the gods. Crackle. The terrifying thing was that the entire sky had turned into an endless pool of lightning, which shocked Snow-Blowing City. The man leaped up, mounted the largest wolf king, and rushed towards Beautiful Cloud Inn. "Milord." The faces of the guards turned pale. Mei Yunin wasn't far from here, but the city lord had actually summoned the heavenly incomplete divine wolves. This was like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. Moreover, he had summoned all the heavenly incomplete divine wolves. Such a thing had only happened 10,000 years ago. They suddenly remembered what the old woman had said. If they were late by even a second, the city lord would bear all the consequences. Who was that old woman? Why was she able to make the city lord so anxious? They hoped that the city lord would be able to rush over. Otherwise, they would also be in deep trouble. At this moment, the old woman was still resisting the attacks of all the experts within the restaurant. She should have been able to annihilate them with ease, but they were very cunning. They refused to go head-on against her and instead pursued Xiaoyu and the others. This caused the old woman to be quite exhausted from running for her life. Unless she unleashed all of her strength. However, she felt a little disdainful to burst out her strength in the face of such trash. Roar! But at this moment, an earth-shattering wolf howl resounded, causing the inn to feel as if it was about to collapse. "Junior brother, you're finally here." Hearing the wolf howl, the old woman's lips curled into a smile. A helper is here." The middle-aged man from the Duke's mansion was stunned, but when he saw the smile on the old woman's face, he immediately guessed what was going on. He sneered and said, "Do you think that with a helper here, you won't have to die. Don't dream about it. I tell you, if you dare to meddle in the affairs of our Duke's mansion, then no matter who comes, it will be useless. In snow-blowing city, I know the person in charge here. If I want wind, I get wind, I get wind, I get rain. After he finished speaking, he walked towards the window. The golden-robed young man snickered and took the lead to open the window for his father. Humph, with my father here, your helper is dead meat. After the golden-robed young man finished speaking, he looked out of the window. His face instantly turned pale. Because the sky outside the window had turned into a pool of lightning. Black lightning raged as if a catastrophe was about to befall. If such means were placed in the other divine prefectures, one move would be enough to destroy all the experts in the divine prefectures. In the endless black lightning, the golden-robed young man saw giant wolves. These wolves were pitch black and full of ferocious lightning. A pair of wolf eyes with a touch of coldness and ruthlessness looked at him. With just a glance, the golden-robed young man's mouth trembled in fear. His pants were instantly soaked and the smell of urine came out. Kong, why are you panicking? Look at yourself. The middle-aged man walked over at this moment and suddenly became angry. Father, father, father. The golden-robed young man pointed to the sky and spoke incoherently. Even if the sky falls, father will hold it up. The middle-aged man had already come to the window and looked out. I don't care who you are. How dare you meddle in my affairs? Before he could finish his words, his face immediately froze. His gaze fell on the leading giant wolf. There was a man in black armor sitting on it. His whole body was covered in lightning. Behind him, there were 3 silk banners. He was majestic and awe-inspiring. This person was so familiar. The middle-aged man was a little dumbfounded. He searched his memory and finally remembered the origin of this person. He stuttered and said, yes, 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 the city lord. In the next moment, his pants were also soaked, just like his son. One had to know that he was only the owner of a duke's mansion in a vice city. He was not even the vice city lord of a vice city. The person who came was the city lord of a main city. In just a moment, countless god wolves surrounded the inn. The sky and the ground were all filled with them. Their continuous roars made one's heart turn cold. A real war between gods was probably just like this. On the leading wolf, the middle-aged man stared at the inn. When he saw the old woman, he became furious. Who the fuck wants to die? Boom! There was a loud explosion. The whole city was in turmoil. In the sky above the inn, a long black saber appeared and slashed down from the sky as if it was going to cut the sky. Crash! The inn was abruptly split into 2 like a piece of paper. Then, a giant wolf jumped into the second floor of the inn. The man on the giant wolf's back was filled with murderous intent at this moment. With a slash of his saber, thunder roared. Countless wolf slashes formed by thunder blasted out and blasted all the experts of the Duke's mansion away, smashing them outside the inn. For a moment, there was no one around Lin Ling and the others. The man jumped down from the god wolf and came to the old woman's side. He said excitedly, "Senior sister, are you all right?" The old woman nodded and said indifferently, "I'm fine. It's just a bunch of trash. They can't touch me at all." "It's good that you're fine, it's good that you're fine." The man finally let out a sigh of relief and a smile appeared on his fiendish face. However, the inn and the whole city were incomparably silent at this moment. Especially the father and son of the Duke's mansion in the inn. At this moment, they were almost stunned. Senior sister. The city lord's senior sister. Chapter 3409. Execution of the entire family. The father and son duo felt as though the sky was collapsing. Their pants were getting wetter and the smell of urine was extremely strong. Especially the golden-robed youth, he felt a chill on his bald head. It was extremely cold, so cold that he was trembling. Senior sister, things seem to have become troublesome. However, the man ignored them. After conversing with the old woman for a moment, his gaze suddenly landed on Lin Ling. He exclaimed, "Could he be? That's right, it's him." Ah! The man's expression instantly changed. In front of everyone, he knelt down on one knee in front of Lin Ling. "Hall Master, I came too late to save you. Hall Master, please punish me." When this voice floated out, it gave the Duke's father and son duo a fright. Of course, Lin Ling was also given a fright. What was the meaning of this? Such an expert actually called him Hall Master. What the hell is going on? One had to know that Lin Ling had nearly mistaken the man as Lei Gong. Senior, this. Lin Ling could not help but look at the old woman. However, the old woman shook her head and said, "You will know when the time comes. Now, you only need to know that I'm your guardian." The old woman still did not say a word. This left Lin Ling puzzled, but he did not think too much about it. He guessed that he had mysteriously become one of Lei Gong's capable subordinates. He had become a Hall Master. Maybe that was the case. However, this Lei Gong was quite perceptive. Although Lin Ling's ultimate desolate bodies were all first grade, he had 5 dantians, allowing him to fuse with many talents. Furthermore, he had 3 first-grade ultimate desolate bodies. Such an anomaly probably did not exist in the Miaozhou, right? As for the man, he remained kneeling on one knee. If Lin Ling did not speak, he would not stand up. This made Lin Ling nod his head, "Get up." Following that, he took a step forward and wanted to help the man up. However, the man was immediately overwhelmed by the favor. He was the first to stand up and constantly waved his hands, "Thank you, Hall Master. Thank you, Hall Master." It could be seen that he was very excited. "You don't have to call me Hall Master. You can call me Young Master or Young Master." Lin Ling shook his head and said. The doubts in his heart grew even stronger. Could it be an order from treasure god Nanwu Fengyu? If Nanwu Fengyu was helping him, then the first person he would protect would be Xiaoyu. The more Lin Ling thought about it, the more puzzled he became. He could only say that this Lei Gong was extraordinary. After the man stood up, he immediately turned around and looked at the people from the Duke's mansion. His previous excited expression instantly disappeared and was replaced with a cold expression. He stepped forward, and the black thunder blade in his hand bloomed with a dazzling light. Whoosh! With a single slash, the Duke's mansion's expert was split into 2. Whoosh! With another slash, even more experts died. They couldn't even withstand a single blow. As for the middle-aged man from the Duke's mansion, he didn't even dare to touch him, let alone help him. "City Lord, please spare my life." The middle-aged man from the Duke's mansion immediately begged for mercy, "I'm Kongjue, I'm Kongjue. Kongju. You're the Duke of Gale Vice City." The man's footsteps finally stopped. Yes, yes, yes. The middle-aged man's heart finally relaxed. He was a duke and couldn't be killed casually. Moreover, he wasn't from this city, so the city lord should give him face. However, just as he was about to get lucky, a long blade stabbed into his dantian, and lightning wreaked havoc. The middle-aged man looked up in disbelief. Don't talk about a mere duke. Even if your vice city lord were here, he'd still die. The man pulled out his blade and said coldly. Plop. The duke fell on his back, dying with his eyes wide open. Father. The young man in the golden robe next to him felt cold all over as he cried out in pain. Then, he kowtowed to the man continuously, "Spare my life, spare my life. I've said it before. The next time we meet, it won't be to cut off your hair." This time, the old woman said coldly. She gently waved her arm, and like the scythe of the Grim Reaper, she cut off the young man's flesh piece by piece. In the end, he turned into a skeleton, deader than dead. He could be considered a tragedy. Originally, he didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Ling, so nothing would happen. In the end, he couldn't swallow his anger and caused the Duke's mansion to be destroyed. City Lord. At the same time, the City Lord's guards arrived at the inn and knelt down on one knee. Kill everyone in the Duke's mansion and send their bodies back to Gale Vice City. The man ordered coldly. All of them. The guards' faces changed. This action was a little crazy. Can't you hear my order? The man's voice became cold. Yes. The guards immediately obeyed the order. As for the experts of the Duke's mansion who were still alive, their faces turned ashen. They knew that they had kicked an iron plate. Young lord, I came too late to save you. I hope you can punish me. After settling the matter, the man quickly walked toward Lin Ling and bowed. What crime? If you didn't come, we wouldn't know what to do. Lin Ling said with a smile. The man immediately smiled. He thought that Lin Ling was an unruly and willful person, but he didn't expect Lin Ling to be so easy to talk to. He looked at the old woman and said in his heart, with senior sister here, nothing will happen to you. It's just that senior sister doesn't want to reveal her strength. Young lord, please go to the city lord's mansion. After that, the man said respectfully. Lin Ling nodded. Looking at Do Afterimage and the others who were still in a daze, he said with a smile, let's go to the city lord's mansion. At this moment, Do Ying and Broken Sword were in a daze, because the experts that had been dispatched earlier had simply exceeded their horizons. Even if they were placed in the Flying Dragon organization, they would still be existences above the 16 kills. However, here, they were easily slaughtered clean. This final world was indeed crazy. Fortunately, they followed the young master. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. Everyone was heading towards the city lord's residence. And at this moment, rumors were spreading all over the vast snow-blowing city. Because the city lord had summoned the god wolf army, this had not been seen for 10,000 years. Therefore, many people were curious about who had made the city lord make such a big fuss. As for the Whirlwind Vice City, all the corpses of the Duke's mansion were sent back, and the Vice City Lord also knew everything. Who gave Tsang Chiri the right to kill our Vice City's people? Come, let's go to the snow-blowing city to seek justice. The City Lord was obviously very angry. Although his status and strength were weaker than Tsang Chiri, there were gods above him. The gods also had their own rules. Killing between cities was not allowed. However, an adjutant immediately reminded him, my lord, I'm afraid this matter will be left unsettled. I heard that the city lord did not hesitate at all and directly killed the people of the Duke's mansion. This means that the Duke's mansion has touched the city lord's reverse scale. Therefore, even if we go there, it will only make things worse. The city lord will not compromise and admit his mistake. The city lord frowned immediately. This was indeed reasonable. The city lord is not an impulsive person. Today, he is so abnormal. I'm afraid this matter is not simple. Forget it, let's just forget about it. Chapter 34:10. Trial Taker. Lin Ling stayed at the city lord's mansion that night. However, all the guards knew that this young man was extraordinary, so they treated Lin Ling with great respect. Even Xiao Yu, Afterimage, and the rest were overwhelmed by this unexpected favor. Although Lin Ling was used to being in a superior position, he still felt uncomfortable being surrounded by a group of martial ancestor experts. Night fell and Miaozhou fell silent. Lin Ling sat in his room and looked out the window with a smile on his face. Night in Miaozhou. It was indeed different. Lin Ling had been to all kinds of places in his life. Now, he could finally experience the night in the world of gods. Thinking back, it had not been easy for him to come this far. "Senior, it's so late and you're still awake?" Lin Ling suddenly asked. The door was pushed open, and the mysterious old woman nodded and walked in. However, Lin Ling was not surprised by her appearance. Now that Lin Ling had arrived in Miaozhou, was the old woman bringing him to meet Lei Gong? Or did she arrange another mission for him? He had a feeling that with his current strength, Lin Ling would not be able to meet Lei Gong. "Lin Ling, do you have a grudge against martial god Wen Tian?" The old woman sat down and went straight to the point. Lin Ling nodded, "That's right, a grudge that will not end until one of us dies. With your current strength, not to mention taking revenge on martial god Wen Tian, there are many people in the new heavenly court who are stronger than you." The old woman said. "I know, but I can wait. I'm young and I have potential. If 10 years is not enough, I'll wait 100 years. If 100 years is not enough, I'll wait 1,000 years." Lin Ling said firmly. Moreover, although martial god Wen Tian is one of the top 10 martial gods, he is not invincible. Not long ago, one of the top 10 martial gods, martial god Qilin, died at our hands. However, after the first time, the new heavenly court will be on guard. It will be difficult to take revenge with external help. Martial god Qilin was killed by you. Hearing this, surprise appeared in the old woman's eyes, which were as calm as an ancient well. This was because martial god Qilin was slightly stronger than her. She couldn't kill martial god Qilin, but Lin Ling could. It was too shocking. She subconsciously glanced at Lin Ling. She suddenly had a feeling that if this young man was given some time, he might be able to surpass the heaven-seeking martial god. "I suddenly believe you a little. However, there are many factors in a martial artist's growth. Talent is only one of them. Luck and opportunity are also indispensable. Since you started practicing martial arts, you should have seen many talented martial artists who didn't reach the end in the end." The old woman said again. Lin Ling nodded. That was indeed the case. The reason Lei Gong looked for you was because he didn't want to bury your talents. His Excellency Lei Gong is very familiar with you. It can be said that he has always been paying attention to you. After pondering for 100 years, he finally chose you out of millions. The old woman suddenly revealed a bit of information. "He chose me out of 100,000 people." Lin Ling was surprised. "Of course, you're not the only one. There are 9 other people. You're the same as them." After 100 years of elimination, the final 10 people were chosen. "I'm your guardian." The old woman continued, "Perhaps you think the realm of gods is the most mysterious place in the world. It has jurisdiction over the entire 9 continents and 10,000 worlds. However, let me tell you, the realm of gods is very complicated. That's why Lei Gong came up with this plan. Of course, you don't need to know the reason now. You just need to grow stronger. At the same time, you can take revenge, killing 2 birds with 1 stone." Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He then nodded. In the past, Li Xiaoyao hadn't reached the height of the realm of gods. Therefore, Lin Ling didn't know much about the realm of gods. However, he didn't need to think too much about it. He just needed to grow stronger. For the 10 of you, Lei Gong has prepared the trial of gods. Only those who pass the trial of gods can meet Lei Gong. Moreover, only 1 out of the 10 of you can succeed. The old woman then looked at Lin Ling and smiled for the first time. "Lin Ling, if you can meet Lei Gong, I can tell you that you can do whatever you want in the 9 continents. It won't be hard for you to take revenge. I don't know if you know that Wentian martial god has a younger sister. She's called Luli Empress. She's also a participant in the trial of gods. However, she's not on Lei Gong's side. Therefore, if you want to kill Wentian martial god, even if you succeed, you'll anger some gods. There's no place for you in the 9 continents. If the gods want you dead, you won't live past the 4th. The old woman said seriously. Tian Liuli. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. His heart was boiling with anger. He was reincarnated as a human. However, the pure girl in the past had become an empress. Moreover, she stood at the peak of the 9 continents and was in the eyes of the gods. Lin Ling was still very far away from Tian Liuli. Moreover, if it wasn't for him, Tian Liuli wouldn't have the status she had today. She would only be a member of the masses. I agree to the trial of gods. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Lin Ling firmly nodded. He knew that rice had to be eaten one bite at a time. A skyscraper was not built in a day. As long as Lin Ling had the primal chaos divine formula, he would definitely surpass Tian Liuli. Tian Liuli had obtained a part of the primal chaos divine formula, but she could only cultivate 6 dantians. However, Lin Ling had 9 dantians. That's good. Seeing Lin Ling nod, the old woman smiled again. Her attitude towards Lin Ling had changed. She was no longer cold and indifferent. Instead, she was more respectful. Right now, I don't know what the young master needs help with. Young master only needs to ask. As long as you complete one of the trial of gods, I will be able to fulfill your wish. The old woman continued, although with my strength and status, I can provide you with an endless supply of cultivation resources. Lei Gong has decreed that trial takers can only rely on themselves. This is because this is related to fate. If you were nurtured by Lei Gong with countless cultivation resources, you would be a dead object and still be bound by the laws of the 9 continents. However, if you relied on yourself to grow and surpass the restrictions of a certain law, your future will be limitless. In that case, it seems that there is more than one trial of gods. Lin Ling's gaze changed. Through the conversation, he could roughly guess who Lei Gong was. Even if he wasn't a god, he was still the number 1 person below the gods. As for the old woman's words, Lin Ling also agreed. If he, Lin Ling, was nurtured by Lei Gong's endless resources, then he would be a kind of puppet. This was not what Lin Ling wanted. Only by completing the trial of gods can you get the reward. The first trial has already been arranged. Lei Gong wants you to enter the Snow Wind Academy and obtain an item. The old woman said, if you complete this trial, you can make any request of me. As long as you agree, then the first reward will be a divine source and it will be of the fire attribute. Most importantly, this is only the first reward and not the reward after the mission is completed. Interesting, but what is a divine source? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.